Question. How do we call him?
He gave us a signal.
I muted. Thank you. Super Bro Corey's on it. What is up, Rebellion? Hope all of y'all are doing good. It is your boy Trey of the Bat Channel. We are live once again from the Bat Cave on a far, far away moon called Velt. Going to be talking about Zack Snyder's space epic opera. This new incredible IP that Netflix has and is doing quite well over there for streaming. We're going to be talking about Rebel Moon, this new universe. Finally, going to be doing our little review of part 1 and part 2. We're going to be discussing both films separate, our ratings for those films, maybe some theories that we have for part 3, and we'll be talking, a little bit about where we think maybe some minor criticism. So there is going to be spoilers. So if you have not seen Rebel Moon Part 1 or Part 2, this is not the stream for you. You need to back out now because there will be spoilers. But before we begin, I'll make sure we hit the warning so that if you guys just want to support us in the meantime, you already know what to do. It helps us out so much. When you smash that like, you share this video, get all your Rebel friends into the chat right now because we're going to be discussing all that is good in Rebel Moon. And subscribe to our channel. Help us get to 3K. We are so close and we can't do it without you guys. It all starts with you. So our road to 10K starts now. And we got some surprises coming on later in the year. But without further ado, guys, let me go ahead and bring out the best co-host I could ever ask for. Super Bro Corey, how's it going, big fella?
Long live the mother world.
Oh my god, and he starts. you
What's up, mother world?
Are crazy. Corey Bra, we're definitely going to be talking about that because I thought long and hard about our watch party that we did of Rebel Moon Part 2, the Scargiver, and I heard some of your complaints, and I listened to an interview with Zach where he kind of talked about your particular issue. And I think it'll be a good debate for us to have.
Are we going to be able to play that clip?
Not this round, just because, I have a full-time job. I cannot prepare all these things, and I just saw
the clip, and we'll play it a little bit later.
If I can find it, I will send it. I didn't save it or anything, but if I can find it, we will definitely do that. So, guys, make sure you share our stream right now. Let's get all of you guys up in here. It's great to see you, Corey. Let's say hello to all of our fellow people. Who's on the chat?
Yeah, we got a great crew here tonight, Trey. We got, we got Batman, Thoughts, Geek, Defense, Initiative. It's been a while since we've seen him. Good seeing you. Hey. The Batman Who Laughs, yes. Trevor H, Red Robin, Bat Fanatic, hashtag Restore the Snyderverse Guy, Declassified, Monarch Eyes Only, Carrie Kelly, 9 Lives in Hell here, Oracle's Clock Tower, Charles Austin, good to see you, Charles. Red Robin, King Donkey Kong, The Butler, Kingdom of Nerds. Did I miss some people? Wayne Enterprises. Chuck. We did get some super chats already, Trey.
Some super chats already. My goodness, guys, you guys coming in hot.
After Rebel Moon success, Netflix needs to invest more in Zack's. Netflix, get the deal done for Zack Snyder's Justice League 2 and 3. Chop, chop, blackmail, Zaslav if you have to. So Batman's ready to start breaking some laws in order to compromise for the sake of content, right? I'm just kidding. Batan, thank you so much, brother, for your $5 super chat. He had a live stream as well recently talking about Rebel Moon, I believe, with our good friend Josh and Zod Rider. So I highly recommend you check that out after this stream. And just support new content, guys. We talked about this with Gareth Edwards, the Creator movie that came out last year. And to me, it's one of those things where if people want new content, if you're tired of franchises just killing and beating a dead horse, with these beloved franchises, then, their concept of quantity over quality, then support new content like The Creator, like Rebel Moon, because that's the exciting part, right? Like, this is all fresh to us. And honestly, it's one of the big reasons why I loved this particular this new universe, this new franchise that we're getting with Netflix, and the fact that they have the confidence, like Batan has talked about here, with just going all in on Zack Snyder and his vision. It shows you a lot of confidence that they have with Zack and what he has delivered for them. So all the haters out there, I know, I get it. You hate that Zack is succeeding. You just got to deal with it. If you don't like it, cool. Go find something that you do like. No reason to ruin it for those who are enjoying it. And I think there's criticisms that can be accepted. I think anything's fair, but just to hate on this movie simply because it's Zack Snyder, I know he just gets that reaction out of people. But hey, in a way, you're engaging with him, you're engaging with his audience and his brand, so therefore you're only helping him out by talking about him more and more. So think about that when you attack people. But anyways, Batan, thank you so much for your $5 super chat. Corey, can you play Batan a little something to say thank you? We're gonna have to update all the Rebel Moon stuff on this. Yeah, this is Batan begging for Zack Snyder's Justice League completion.
Please! God damn it! Hate this hacker crap.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Also got a super chat from Red Hooded Outlaw, $5 super chat. Says hashtag Team Noble, the mother world will strike back.
You're one of those, huh? One of those. Hey, Red Hood Outlaw, that's fair. You're with the Imperium. I get it.
Is that what you think? That's exactly. It doesn't matter what you think.
It doesn't matter what you think, Trey. Hashtag Team Noble. Hashtag the mother world will strike back.
I don't think so. Red Hood Outlaw, thank you so much for your $5 super chat. We're definitely going to talk about that whole debate that Corey has. So make sure you guys stick around. Corey, I feel like we shouldn't wait. We should just get right into talking about. We're going to do part 1 first, and then talk about part 2. We're going to separate them, and we're going to give a score. But I'm excited to really kind of dive into this universe with you, because we're still learning a lot. I'm still reading the part 1 book, and that will be fun to talk about a smidge. I'm not going to go too in depth of the book and the differences, simply for the fact that, as Zach has already mentioned, we are going to get director's cuts of both of these movies. So it's going to be like an additional hour. So I don't want to ruin or spoil anything that could show up in those director's cuts, because there is a particular thing that happens in the books. I'm like, that needs to be in the movie without question. Thank you so much, Red Hood Elf, for your.
Thank you so much. And as far I know you said you're surprised, but for me, this is my video expression of seeing Red Hooded Outlaw say this.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
Oh my gosh, it's yeah, Corey, let's go ahead and talk about part one. Guys, I highly recommend, if you have not gotten the books, if you have not ordered the first one, do it. I'm probably going to get part two because it takes a lot to make me cry in a book, just by reading it, and that book was able to do it in the first chapter. So, Corey, are you ready to go, good sir?
I'm ready, buddy.
All right, let's start with part one, A Child of Fire. This is the theme that kicked it all off December 22nd, 2023. We're really December 21st because they released the film like 12 hours earlier, and it went crazy. Corey, already when we started watching this movie, and you can check out our watch party to kind of get our reactions from this movie, but I really got the sense, man, that like we had talked about earlier, so many people were kind of like, this is Zack Snyder's Star Wars. This is Zack Snyder's Star Wars. They kept saying that. And I felt like that was a gross misrepresentation of what this part one actually was. Would you agree with that?
So say the question again?
Would you agree that Rebel Moon being called Zack Snyder's Star Wars was a gross misrepresentation of that movie?
Oh, absolutely. You and I from the get-go hated the comparison. Like, yeah, he pitched the story, but he completely switched the script and made it his own entire thing.
Well, it was his own in the beginning before he even pitched as a Star Wars idea. It was a college, pitch.
For sure.
With his professor.
For sure. But he's made his own languages. He's made his own, universe. It's completely his.
Yeah. And I think that's what makes Zack so brilliant. Like, you can tell that man just has like a creativity and imagination that's just off the charts. And the fact that he's able to, it's one of the things that, if you want to give any type of connection between the two IPs of Star Wars and Star Trek and really any space opera in sci-fi genre, is the connection of the incredible world building that these guys do, these writers, these directors, from George Lucas to Zack Snyder and all those cats, even what they did with the new Dune movies recently with the world building they did from those books. This is completely brand new, and it's what is so fascinating that these guys were able to create so much history, so much lore in fine details. And if there's one thing we know about Zack Snyder, there are so much details that are not even said in dialogue. It's through the details in the armor, the details in reactions, the details in the world, the scenery, and everything like that, and the lore and the music even, that you really couldn't cram it in a 2-hour film, for sure. No. Rebel Moon is more Seven Samurai inspired than Star Wars. I would agree with that. And if anything, we get to this place of inspirations, right? Like, the people who grew up on Star Wars are clearly going to be inspired by Star Wars. So you're going to see elements of things in there, but to just flat out say, well, this was just a rip-off Star Wars movie.
But guess what? George Lucas was inspired by things as well.
Seven Samurai, for instance, and Flash Gordon. There was so much that George Lucas, the Bible even, he took stories like everything is inspired by something. So to just flat out give it this like slapped on, bandage of this is what it is, I think you already had a perception. You had already created in your mind an argument against the movie, and you didn't actually watch it. Which, hey, to each their own, but like, if you're watching this review and you're just like waiting to attack and to go after of like, this is how it's Star Wars because they had molten blades, which are pretty much lightsabers. They really weren't, they were a different type of weaponry. And are we to say that Star Wars is the only ones that can have laser swords because it's Star Wars? Well, I mean, many people have done laser swords before. Why is it all of a sudden a problem now? I mean, it was clearly different enough to where it didn't work like a lightsaber at all.
this ain't finding no kyber crystal to toss into your for a lightsaber. You know, there's some sacrifice going on here for these laser swords. You know, like what Nemesis did was absolutely wild, bro.
Especially how they even kind of with Nemesis's like mechanical arms that she had, they kind of reference that the ancestral blood is what turns them on, you know, which activates them. And that is like an insane concept. It's not a kyber crystal. It's not something that can retract. It's a blade already that can be used as a regular blade, but then they can turn it on to make it this molten thing. And it doesn't move or make the sounds like a lightsaber. So it really is different. Yes, you could say, well, it's blue, it's red, you know, there's clearly inspiration there. Sure. Okay. I'll take that. There's inspiration. It's not stealing though. There's the Force. Star Wars needs to have the Force. Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, who knows with this Princess Issa, who has the ability of healing, it sounds like, and possibly more. Zack kind of kept referencing that there could be more to this princess. But where we start with this movie is we learned that there was essentially this mother world, this empire, and for 1,000 years they have ruled with basically war kings, you know, warlords who were just dominating the universe until one day this princess is she's changing the game. She's part of a prophecy. They believe her to be this new era of peace amongst the galaxy, but some people don't want the world to change the way it is. They want to stay in control, so therefore the king is slain with his family, and now the regent Belarius is the one. He's making the rules, right? He's this big bad dude that we don't really get too much of in part one, or even really in part two, but definitely a fascinating character. But what I love that Zack does in the very beginning of this movie is he really sets the tone with the narration from Jimmy's character, Anthony Hopkins, but to also create the threat. We meet our character, Cora, and she's quite an interesting character for sure. Zack definitely loved to play with the complexities here. And the cinematography, right, we've talked about with Zack. The fact that you can see this giant planet on this moon of Velt when she's farming away, to me, it was like right there. You already knew, right? Like Zack was going to just have some of the most beautiful cinematic shots in the entire movie. And that one in particular really sticks out in my mind. I mean, it's this shot that we have for our background for a reason. I just love the look of it. And once again, right, Zack creating the details without saying anything. The fact that she's, you know, working the fields, looking at the dirt, really embracing the peace and comfort of the situation. But you can tell there's a little bit of longing. There's a little bit of distance from her, a little bit of depression that you can sense that she's not accepting the fact that she is there, that she deserves it in a way. And when they, you can get with Gunner's character from the moment he looks at her and he takes this kind of gasp for air because he's like you just tell he is in love with her, and that it doesn't require any thought, doesn't require any dialogue, and that's just really good performances from the actors. And it was such a cool freaking scene of the kind of the opening with the townspeople kind of celebrating, getting the harvest ready, and like in true Zack Snyder fashion, it has to be a little bit of sexy, you know, a little raunchy. To honor the gods, we must do the thrusting of hips rather than sacrifice, and the moans of pleasure. I can only imagine what the R-rated cut is going to be of this movie, right, Corey? What was your thoughts of like the townspeople? Kind of the set that Zack Snyder built. It felt very Norse, very Viking-esque in a way.
Absolutely, dude. Yeah. Definitely kind of that Norse old world vibes go in there. It was cool. to see this community, have to work together to process the grain in order to, survive as a, community, as a small group of people living together. So they all had their jobs, and typical, bad guy story when the opposing threat moves on in and threatens their way of life, like a very Negan-esque type, like, oh crap, we were I think that's one of the reasons why I liked Noble. I know you haven't quite got there yet, but the just the opening views and everything like that, the animals, those like crazy looking horses, dude, those were super awesome as well. So yeah, it was just a really cool community for sure.
And it very much shows the difference between the people of Velt versus the mother world, right? Like obviously technology, very war driven, and here it is farming a way of life. It's peace. It's very much connected to the earth, right? While relying on technology, and this here not relying on technology. It's part of nature and stuff like that. Just two different ideologies are out totally, right? Like I would be down to live in Velt with that. Yes, the dreadnought. But I just love that they really kind of create the sense with who Cora is as a person. And the book definitely goes a little more in depth about what's going on in her mind during that whole, kind of harvest celebration. And it's definitely going to be R-rated cut's going to be it's going to be very Game of Thronesy, I feel like. And for those who have seen that show, you probably know what I'm talking about. But when she kind of talks about with the man that found her when she crashed on Velt and kind of rescued her and made her a part of this community, they have this, you could tell he really wants her to be a part of it. He wants her to feel like she has a home there, that she doesn't have to feel like she's on the run anymore. And that moment where she kind of just says to him, she's like, I 2 years here, I've been happy and found peace. And she's like, and I don't deserve it. I don't like, I should not get this. And she's like, and that's why she can't feel like she can live there, and make it her home. Is there's some type of guilt that is holding her down. And she kind of shows the brutality of the mother world, of how they've kind of broken her down, ripped her apart, and recreated her in their image. And it just really gives you a sense of how fierce, in a way, you could say the mother world is very much very Sparta-esque, very 300. You're built to be a soldier and to kind of give up those natural innocence or kind of desires. You're there to serve a purpose for the mother world, for the capital, for the country and the planet, rather than your own needs and your own train of thought, your life. She blames herself. Yeah, exactly. Sin Havoc. Corey, let's just go ahead and talk about the mother world's entrance, the dreadnought, the King's Gaze, which is such a dope name for a freaking ship, man. What was your first thought the moment you see Noble come down? I mean, everyone's clearly tension definitely rises the moment they show up, and Sidri says, what do you think they want? And she says everything. They're coming to take it all. What's kind of going through your mind when you were watching that for the first time?
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's I love it when there's like a grand entrance of this opposing force, the bad guys per se. And I know what everybody's thinking. I'm not really a fan of the bad guys and everything like that, but I like shows of force. I like when people come in hardcore, and dude, Noble came in hardcore with the King's Gaze, dude. It was like a very it's so iconic, dude. Like, when I think of like bad guys walking in to a place, you think of obviously Negan, coming his grand entrance, Darth Vader, coming through the wall as well, those, you need a really big grand entrance for these, like the butler said, he made a grand entrance for these antagonists to, really show off, how evil they are. And Zack nailed it, dude. Like, it was like, holy cow, man. Like, like he had this kind of smooth, kind of talk, but he was also, like just evil to the core, man. Like he's like, oh yeah, like, especially when what's his face was starting to go against like, oh, we could do this and do that.
Oh, Gunner. Gunner's character,
yeah. When Gunner's character started to do all that stuff, and I was like, man, this is very like, giving me that Walking Dead vibe. Like, shut up, why are you saying all this stuff?
Why are you talking? Yeah,
you're about to ruin it for everybody. And sure enough, Noble was there to break it down.
Oh,
thank
totally.
you so much, Ruffles. Clock down. She gave a $4 super chat. Said it was so memorable. Noble was a force to reckon with, and completely brutal.
Completely agree. And I think that's like you said, it's a memorable entrance, and I think it gives you the idea when you have so many iconic entrances from a villain, right? Like, oftentimes we judge our heroes by how great our villain is, and I think it's fair to say that Noble was an incredible villain, and made his mark immediately. Like, he set the tone. He set the tone for the threat that the mother world is. He showed basically, they mean business. They're not here to be friends. And I just loved the fact that they even started it out where he's kind of, you could tell there's something off about him, right? There's a screw that's loose there, even though he's being somewhat pleasant, but you see the little ticks of insanity with him. And it's like just the little reaction where he's like, oh, like, well, maybe you can become partners with us and, share some of your harvest, and I'll give you 3 times the amount that it's normally goes for. All enticing offers, right? Like, why wouldn't you take it? And then when he starts to peel back and manipulate the details to work in his favor, the little, side nods that he does when he's starting to really, he knows it's a tense situation for him. He knows they're peaceful people that have never been put in this situation before. And it's a freaking lion playing with his food. He enjoys the suffering. He enjoys the brutality, almost gets off on it, I guess you could say. And I think the fact that it kind of catches you off guard a little bit. Here you are thinking he's going to take out Gunner, because Gunner, he's going to, let me show you how to do this. Like, you're the leader of this, you're the father of these people. I'm going to show you how to, set an example of the people that don't follow your leadership correctly. And just like in a very Negan way, like you said, right, where he's bashing the other guy's brains in, and Gunner's having to watch it, because in a way, by doing that, he not only, turned the whole townspeople into like panic, just basically mindless sheep in that moment. He turned Gunner like dog between, tail between the legs, who ambition. There you go. Like, I'll show you what you just did. And that's such a great entrance. Yeah, I got no guts. And I loved that so much. Corey, can you play Oracle's Clock Tower, a little something to say thank you for that $5 super chat?
Since we're talking about the bad guys, I'll give you the bad.
Are you sweet talking me?
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Oracle. We really do appreciate it. It's unfortunate too. I really did like Sindri's character. I thought he was Corey Stoll, I think, is a great actor, and I think Zach did a great job of having some people in there who like are well-known actors, and to kind of cut them out real quick to keep it surprising. But at that moment, it's very much here he is. Noble he's setting the terms like, when's my harvest? And I'm taking it all from you guys. And I love that Zach kind of does that callback with Korra, where Sindri asks like, what do they want? Everything. And when Gunnar asked the same question, because Gunnar, we saw that he wasn't so much cowardly, it's just he was weak in that whole situation when they arrived. He saw it as a business opportunity. He saw that they could be a partnership with the Mother World, and Korra, knowing them, knowing where they come from, knowing how they do things. She's like, there is no peace with them. You can't make peace with a lion. One of my favorite quotes is from a movie with Wrath of the Titans, and they're talking about the god of Ares, the god of war. And people are, the Greeks are like, we'll pray to Ares to help us, in this time of need. And the Perseus says, like, you would pray to the god of war for peace? Like, that doesn't make sense, and it's very much that way with Gunnar and the Mother World in that moment, because, he sold their previous harvest extras to their surplus to the resistance, to the Blood Axes, who are trying to fight the Mother World because of their tyranny and their brutality. And it was just a great way to introduce the threat, to set everything in motion, right? The thing that lights the journey for the hero. But as we kind of see where Corey has issues with Korra,
I have to say here too, Joshua said, Zack Snyder's Atticus Noble has made me forget that he's also Francis. I think that's one of the things I like
Francis. It's all British people. British people are just evil. Sorry to the butler, who I know is actually British.
Right.
But I agree with you, Corey. I think it was a strong introduction to who the Mother World is, to who Noble is as a person, and to have Korra's reaction not be like the rest of the townspeople who are panicking. She knows the enemy, right? She was the enemy, and her solution is to run, to get out. And that just shows you that she understands them well enough. As she even says, she's like, there's no winning this war. They're going to keep coming back until everyone is dead, and I'm not going to sit here and watch that happen, so she's going to leave. But all while that's going on, of course, they leave some of their soldiers from the Mother World there, and you can already tell some of these guys are scum. They're taking advantage of the situation, and it's not something, that's something that's very much war history, right? Like, we know that even the Redcoats back then, when the United States was around, part of the deal was if Redcoats wanted to take your house and station there, that was their right in British law, and that's what was part of the U.S. The colonies at the time were like, no, I hate that. And some bad things happened during those situations. So Zack Snyder pulling truth and history of how some of those things happened, how some of these brutal soldiers acted towards citizens and townspeople, and especially with one of our characters, Sam, who is clearly the target of these men who are abusing the situation very much, and even you get the sense though that there's this one soldier amongst them who doesn't quite think the way they do. Eris. Eris is a big part of the book, or at least I should say the first 50, 75 pages of the book. They really go into Eris and his origin story. And knowing his origin story compared to what it is in the movies really bums me out, because in a way I would almost tell you that it feels like sometimes he was meant to be the main character of the movie. Bat Dan coming in. Did we talk about this, Corey, already with the $2 super chat?
Nope.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
Batan, thank you so much for that $2 super chat saying Belt was like, somebody save me.
Somebody save me.
I'm glad that's back. Thanks, Batman.
Fired. I would be lost without Sonation and the battalion. Aw, Batan. That makes me happy to hear, man. Shout out to the battalion and Sil Nation. So yeah, we were talking about the soldiers, right? Eris is an interesting character that I hope gets more screen time in the future, or maybe in the director's cuts that come out in August. Who knows? But you can tell he doesn't exactly vibe with the other soldiers. He's kind of the outcast. He's the peaceful one. And when we meet our robotic friend, my favorite character, Jimmy, voiced by Anthony Hopkins, oh man, I freaking love this character. And they talked about something of how these droids, these robots, were basically protectors of the royal family, right? That one day when the slain king and his family were murdered, right? They stopped fighting. They just dropped because they lost purpose in life. And you know, once again, the brutalness of the military kind of playing with them and shooting at the Jimmy robot, just because they're dicks, let's be honest. But we get a really sweet moment between Jimmy and Sam, and Jimmy talks about the princess Issa, of how it was believed that she was the prophecy to like bring peace to the galaxy, that she was going to be different, and that she was magical in a sense, that she had the ability to heal people. And Sam and Jimmy kind of really have a nice connection. She's able to awaken him in a way. Before he was just ones and zeros, and all of a sudden it feels like from that moment she kind of, when she touches his face, he lights up a little bit, and you could feel the warmth of the situation, that maybe she awoken his soul a little bit, his mind, to not just be a robot that takes orders. And I loved that. I loved that so much, of how they did that with Jimmy's character. But when she's being attacked by the soldiers, you know, who want to have their way with her, and Eris goes to defend her and protect her, and of course gets himself into the crossfire as well. It's coming down to the situation's not looking good, and Sam and Cora are good friends, to where we have that little fight sequence. She decides from that moment that she can't let this go, that she has to stay and fight. It's kind of the moment that forces her to further her journey with the planet of Velt. And Corey, I don't know if you noticed this, but the way Zack filmed that first fight sequence, I thought was brilliant, because Cora, as we've learned, for 2 years, she hasn't been the soldier that, you know, she was trained to be for 2 years. And when she finally makes the first move to take out the Imperium soldiers, right, the Motherworld soldiers, you could tell she's rusty, that she's not, it's not quite smooth and normal to her. And it's a little bit jagged. She's getting hit. She's getting punched. And it's not a clean fight. I mean, she's kicking their ass, but she's not dominating them completely. They're getting a few good hits off her. What was your thoughts about that particular choreographed fight scene?
I think it was good, man. Like, she should be a little rusty, right? She's been kind of hiding for so long. So it's been a while since she's had to, you know, use those skills again. So, you know, whenever it comes to Zack and how the way he shoots something, and you know it's going to be fire, bro. So it's like, yep. Everything that was there, I was expecting.
Oh, totally. And I felt like the fact that Zack had that details, because I remember like watching that. What's up, Sky? Good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. I remember watching that and going, she just doesn't look like she's like completely just throwing them down, you know. She's kind of, it's not to me, it didn't feel like a smooth fight scene, you know. And we've seen Zack, one of the greatest fight choreographer, film, cinematic. When it comes to fight scenes, Zack Snyder is one of the best to ever do it. You got the Nightmare Batman scene, Sucker Punch, 300 for God's sakes. He is able to create some of the greatest fight scenes ever. So when I saw her first fight, I was like, this doesn't feel as kick-ass. And when I watched it again, I realized, oh no, this is Zack doing this on purpose, because you see much later on in the movie when they do other fight sequences, she gets much, much smoother, cleaner, and to the point where like they're not able to get anything on her. She is kicking their ass. Like, it is a clear distinction between Cora, who is prepped and ready to freaking go, versus Cora, who is trying to remember the wolf that she was before. And I love that subtle detail that Zack did right there. Of course, you get all this slow-mo. Corey, because it keeps coming up with Zack Snyder, what's your thoughts on the slow-mo, man?
I like it, dude. The slow-mos never get old to me, to be honest with you, especially in like fighting movies and such like that. I feel like most of the time people just want to, like, it's so fast-paced, it's so high speed that you usually end up missing, what's actually going on in a lot of like action movies and such like that. So I think it's fun where you see, you get the fast paced vibes, and then all of a sudden, like when it's a major hit or there's like something going close or like a close dodge, type thing, you get the slow motion of it just to show like how close it was, or kind of really drive in like, man, that this is so high speed that like it slows it down for a little bit and lets you kind of like take a look around and see what else is going on the screen, because he's always going to have something popping up in the background, or some little tiny thing that you wouldn't have noticed if it was just high speed the entire time.
I agree with that. And to me, this question came up on an interview with Zack Snyder. He's just like, well, slow-mo is just awesome. And I love that he just doesn't really give it much attention. But to me, what Zack does with slow motion is, I understand it, because when he does those slow-mo shots, if you know anything about how Zack Snyder approaches a movie and how he sets it up and how he knows the type of shot he wants to take, he has these journals, these big journals that are full of basically comic panels, and he draws exactly what he wants to see. And to me, it's like when he does those slow motion shots, wherever it slows down and you get that perfect shot, I see that being straight out of a comic, like him looking at it through that angle of, bam, that's my shot that I want, And to me, it's so artistic that it's like, I like it personally. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't ruin the intensity of a scene.
Oh.
If anything, it makes me just go, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Scene
300 is going real quick and then.
Oh, totally, right? One of the greatest moments in 300 is that whole slow-mo one-shot sequence with King Leonidas kind of breaking ranks, and he's on his own taking out the Persians left and right. It's like, I remember the first time I saw that. That was, Corey, you might not know this. That was my first R-rated movie that you took us to when we moved here to Colorado. Yeah. And I remember that. I didn't know who Zack Snyder was. I was in middle school. There was no way I knew who Zack Snyder was. And I remember that shot being like, whoa, that's cinema. That's something like I've never seen before, and it's the coolest thing in the world. So when I see Zack Snyder do the slow-mo, especially in fight sequences, or hell, even when it's something as simple as throwing grain in the air, and it's like, I don't know, to me, it connects me and puts me in that scene more. And there's a bit of beauty to it, a bit of awe and wonder of just like, ooh, that's cool. That's a cool shot.
I like what you said with the comic book shot, or it's like storytelling almost. And somewhere it's just like, like you typically don't remember all the high speed stuff, but you'll remember that like one shot. Like, oh yeah,
Totally. I love what everyone's saying. Slow mo Zack Snyder style. It's like complaining Tarantino movies have too many feet. Oh, hey man, if you got Salma Hayek pouring down tequila, on your the slow mo is just something the haters like to cry about it, but it's awesome. I don't get the hate. Yeah, I mean, to each their own, right? Like what you don't like. For me, it's a very artistic decision. That like a Zack Snyder movie when you see it. 300 was my first R-rated movie too. See, Sky, my man. There we go. Great movie. With the fight sequences, they don't bug me at all. But the big thing that happens in that particular scene where Cora is stopping the rape of Sam, and she's taking out all these soldiers. What's up, Koj? Good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well, man. And Eris is backing her up. They're taking them down, and to the point where the colonel is by himself finally, and Jimmy shows up. And as we know, because they said it earlier, Jimmy technically doesn't fight anymore. The king is slain. The princess is dead. He has no reason to fight, yet he picks up the gun, and you can see there's a bit of confusion, or there's a hesitation to it. And without doing too much, I thought it was just the coolest scene to see like Jimmy stare at the gun and then doesn't even look at the dude. He's just able to calculate it, and hits the guy head on. But he runs away. Corey, what do you think that was about? Like Jimmy do you think that was like Jimmy almost going like, oh, whoa, I can't believe I just did that. Like, I got to get out of the situation, or like, what was your kind of thoughts of seeing that scene there? Like, did it catch you off guard that Jimmy was the one to do it?
No, I don't know if it caught me off guard. It was interesting that he ran away, though, for sure. Because that's technically the first time he's killed in a long time as well. I'm assuming, like he's, one of the royal,
at least since the slain king,
Exactly. So, Jimmy's is a very interesting character to me. I hope they dive more in with him in the extended cuts as well as the books.
Totally, because to me, Jimmy, I agree with you, Corey. He's one of the most fascinating characters because you expect him to act like a robot and to be calculated, and yet Zack Snyder and Anthony Hopkins are really able, you've heard me say it before, give Jimmy a soul and to humanize him in the most unusual way possible for a robot. And I love that because it makes me wonder what is going on in his mind. There's probably a million things that he's trying to calculate, but he's able to make a decision there. And it was from that moment on that I'm sure a lot of you heard me. I was going to do a theory review. I just never had the time from work and stuff like that to actually like sit down and record it and do all the editing to it. But from that moment, I was certain Sam was the princess and that the princess was still alive. That was going to be my theory, is that she's the princess. Cora didn't actually kill her. She's still alive, and Cora knew about it and covered it up. And Sam, she was keeping Sam around because she was protecting her still, kind of keeping her under the wraps. Part 2 definitely disproved that, it seems like. So let's see. Batman says, do you notice how Jimmy sounds less robotic in the opening narration? I do. Yeah, I have noticed that in the way Anthony Hopkins does it, which is intriguing. I'm not sure what the decision was on that, but I don't know. I dig it. Skywalker the Jedi says he's dipping out to get ready for later. Y'all enjoy. Hashtag sell ZSJL to Netflix. Hashtag sell Snyder versus Netflix. You already know, Skywalker. Have fun at your show later on, man. I can't wait to check it out. Probably on the replay crew, depending on how long this goes, but we'll try not to be too much longer. Talati plays Jimmy. I liked his Jim. Yeah, man, those action scenes. Part 2. Dope as shit. Much love to everyone. Back to the drawing boards I go. Filmmaking, like and sub to the Pat channel. Thank you so much, Coach. I appreciate you, brother. Have fun with that. I know you're working hard, my man. Can't wait to see it. So from that moment, I was convinced Sam was still Princess Issa, she was Princess Issa, and she was just in hiding. But this is kind of the thing that sets us all in motion, and I love that Zack the townspeople arrive to see what is the clatter, what is the commotion going on, and they see all these dead soldiers, and Cora just walking up to this dude who's crawling for life, and she just puts a bullet in him, just. And she's like, yeah, we're going to have to fight, completely shocked them. It was kind of that moment of like, okay, clearly Cora's not someone who we thought she was, but it sets us off on this motion to this journey to find the rebels, to find the Blood Axes and people like them to fight against the Mother World, because they're coming back. And once they see what Cora has done, and that they haven't, made their harvest yet, the Mother World's gonna wipe them out. So I love that. This is the part to me where it kind of gets rushed a bit. We're going through this journey. We get to a bar. Gunnar joins her along this journey because he was the one that sold the surplus harvest to the Blood Axes, and she needs his help to find the man that sent him to that way. And I love the bar scene was definitely interesting in terms of any space sci-fi bar scene. I feel like is a time when a director likes to have fun with all the aliens and the characters around. Corey, was there any characters in the bar that really stuck out to you that you're like, oh, that's cool, or like, oh, that's rememberable?
That one little blobby thing. What was that called?
Blue creature that had like the tentacles attached to the dude's neck. Okay, yes. I have to ask you about this, because the moment I saw that dude and what he was hooked up to, I was like, oh, I bet this is there was before part 1 came out, Zack had talked about an idea of how Army of the Dead and Rebel Moon are connected in a way. Do you think that creature is the one that is maybe not exactly that particular one, but his species is maybe the cause of the zombies in Army of the Dead?
I haven't thought about that, but it would be cool if that was the case.
I just wonder because, when you saw Zeus's Richard Citroen zombie get, his head shot off, there's that blue glow, and, the fact that the alien was blue, when he was hooked up to that dude, he kind of had the zombie mannerisms to him. And I was just wondering, like, what if it was the disease that came from that parasite thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I liked that concept when I saw it, but I agree that one was definitely memorable.
And are they really zombies too? Like for example, like in Army of the Dead, you see the 2 alien ships goes zooming on by. So,
yeah, Zack did hint at that. But I agree that was a cool looking creature. I loved how even the bartender, where he had like kind of candles all up on him, it's just kind of very rustic and very cool. And there's some that are futuristic looking. So the bar scene was definitely fun for sure. That one dude though, the one dude who grabs that gunner is just like, hey, I'm gonna buy you for a night. That made me so uncomfortable. Oh God. That scene, that's like, to me, I hope they don't go further into that with the rated R cut, because I think I felt that one. I felt hurt after, I felt very protective over my junk. But I did love how it's kind of our first start where we kind of know where General Titus, we learned where General Titus is on this other planet with the Colosseum. So Cora kind of has her first plan in action. And Gunnar's kind of along for the ride learning about, but we meet this character Kai, played by the great Charlie Hudson, right? No, Hudson.
Charlie Hunnam.
Thank you.
Yeah,
like,
from
what am I talking about?
SOA.
Yeah, for Sons of Anarchy. Great man. I love this character. I thought he was so cool. What was your thoughts on him, Corey? On Kai?
With him being an SOA member, I was like, oh yeah, I was hoping he'd work out. I was hoping he was one of the rebels. So, yes, he was just that cool kind of badass. would have been really interesting to see him go head to head with Noble as well. So yeah, I liked him from the get go.
Totally, he's very charismatic, and I just loved how he was like, "Yep, I'm an opportunist, and I'm gonna have a ship." He kind of had this scoundrel kind of thing going on, and this like dope ass pilot, and you could kind of tell he's kind of crazy, kind of loose cannon a little bit, and man, just a cool character. And I love that he was kind of like, okay, well, let me take you on a couple of different adventures, a couple of side quests, right? It very much felt like that. Like we're going on this journey. General Titus is the main campaign mission, but first let's do all these side quests and get other members on our team. And when we get to this other planet, I loved that we meet this. Well, first off, we see Ray Porter, our good friend Ray Porter. Darkseid himself playing this kind of the sleazeball slave owner, and I thought that was pretty cool to see this particular character. But Tarek, he's been, first off, the dude got shredded for that role. But I loved how we're like putting the team together, right? We're getting all these different characters who all kind of are good at their own thing, and you can tell Tarek has kind of a connection with that creature, kind of that griffin looking thing, and I just thought that was a beautiful scene. Kind of reminded me of the Superman flight scene. Did it do that for you as well, Corey?
For sure, yeah, absolutely. Tarek is a cool character in my opinion. He has that kind of like the Native American, one with the earth and nature and animals vibe that I just really dug and enjoyed from his character.
That's a great way of putting it. I just love. Yeah, absolutely, and I think he's a character that, especially once you learn more about him in part 2, I think there's a really cool storyline that they'll be able to kind of bring back there. He's kind of this long lost king that needs to come back to his throne, and kind of the return of the king, maybe the Aragorn of the group or something. Because I did get that vibe, especially with part 2. Part 2 really gave me a Lord of the Rings kind of thing going on. But part 1, as we're putting the team together, and we meet this other character, Nemesis. Nemesis, man, she is a badass. The theme song for Nemesis 2, Junkie XL, Tom Holkenborg, he cooked with her theme. I really dug what they did there, and there was just so much richness to her character, especially because you could tell she definitely has a backstory. She definitely has a past. And when they get to that kind of that planet where it's like kind of polluted, it's a city, and they're kind of going down the different levels of that planet, and we meet that spider character. What a cool fight sequence too, right? And seeing how those molten blades work. What was your thoughts on Nemesis, Corey?
She's awesome. She has this so like obviously we had the Earth Warrior with Turok. With Nemesis we had this like ancient style of warfare vibes going on. The one that is the technical fighter of the group that is willing, is able to fight easily, much easier than maybe some of the others on her own. Like she's that independent, strong warrior that was just absolutely fascinating to watch. The commitment, the almost like if you I think what I could compare her to, like, man, I don't know, because she was just so badass. Yeah, she very, very technical fighter, very committed, but you also got the vibes that she was committed for larger reason. You know, something was really that got her into this fight to be the way she was. That we find out later. Just a really strong driving story towards that.
Well, you also get the sense she's kind of you could tell she's been isolated for a very long time. Like she doesn't quite react the way normal humans would. You know, when they're kind of speaking, she's very calculated, a true swordsman, a true battle tactician in a way, and very just incredible sword handling, and I loved you could tell like she does kind of come from that heritage, right? Kind of that samurai thing going on with her character, and I thought she was just, I don't know, she was easily one of the coolest characters, and I personally love what our good friend Batdan said here. Let me pull it up. Oh. There we go. I want a Nemesis prequel spinoff. Absolutely. Or a comic, an animated, anime kind of thing going on. I don't care. This needs to happen. To me, she was easily one of the coolest characters, and she gets way better in part 2. So when we had our little quick introduction, I felt like she, especially, Zack did a great job giving a lot of the side characters these grand entrances that really kind of gave you an idea of who they were without giving you too much backstory, because he was saving it. But like already making you like, oh yeah, I dig this character. I want more of Nemesis. You know, just getting into her, and you could tell something Kai says later on in the movie, but he's just like, all these people, they didn't need the money for, to fight the Mother World. They had reasons that they were going to do it already. Like the money was just a nice little incentive. And you could feel that with her, that there was something else pulling her to the situation. I will say, when it comes to Jenna Malone's character, who played Harmata, the spider creature, I hope I hope he gets something more about that. To me, there's some sort of backstory there with that creature in that city, that it felt like there's some good lore going on with that creature and her species that I would love to kind of, I don't know, maybe a side story, side episode, if they decided to do like the world of Rebel Moon and characters and gave us a little more. That seems like an interesting theme that we didn't spend too much time on. But we do eventually get to the Colosseum planet with General Titus, and he's not doing so hot. He's drunk. He's clearly tortured by his past. The great once general who was had his men turn against the Mother World, wouldn't fight for them no longer, and they made an example out of him, and it definitely stuck. He's been just living, basically, he's been a dead character all this time, and I love that when they finally meet him, it's not as grand, right? Like you could tell he's just going day by day. He's waiting for a worthy opponent to take him down in this Colosseum. And I just thought how fun of a character to kind of, here you could have redemption. You can have redemption. And that's not what's selling him on, fighting for these people on Velt. But she's like, okay, if you don't have redemption, have revenge. And that's the thing that, boom, you light the fire with that character. So everyone kind of has a little bit of their own motives, a little bit of their own, to fight the Mother World. But now we have our battle tactician who's going to be able to help the people of Velt actually make a legit stance on the Mother World.
Titus is just a cool character, and that actor, Digimon, however you pronounce his name, he's so cool, right? Like he's the gladiator of the group, I personally love that they made him a gladiator too, just because he was in the movie Gladiator. Exactly, that's why I said that. So he's just a cool cool character. You know, he's been in a lot of stuff too. Like, you know, the Gladiator, and obviously he's been in some DC stuff, but Gladiator and The Island are like the two that I immediately think of when I think of him.
No, I agree, dude. He's a fantastic actor. You know, he's one that I think he doesn't get enough credit as a performer, because while he has played some roles that are the same. I saw him in another movie, Gran Turismo, that he was absolutely brilliant in. And he just, I really dug his character, and he was kind of the veteran of the group, right? He was the one that was going to be able to, who also understood how the mother world works, how they plan, how their protocols. So a very important member of the team, and honestly makes sense why Cora considered him kind of the ace up the sleeve in a way. But now we need to recruit the Blood Axes, right? We need to get this group in. And when we get to this planet, we learn that this Keen has been harboring them, protecting them. And man, this one broke my heart a little bit, because I felt like we built up so much to the Blood Axes and their rebellion. And it's like the first time you meet them, you kind of go, really? Like, you guys don't, you guys seem like you just run a lot. Like, she even kind of, you know, his sister, I'm telling, Deborah Bloodaxe, I think. Yeah, Deborah Bloodaxe. You know, she's kind of like, you know, we've always been tactical about how we get our victories. You know, it may not be the big battle, the big war, but we're winning small wins. You know, how do you eat an elephant? One piece at a time. And you could tell she's a bit more of the general. She's a little bit more focused, the tactician. And then you have Darian Bloodaxe, played by our boy Ray Fisher, who he's kind of the spirit. He's the fire of the rebellion. And I love how, you know, when they get to him and they're like, we can't help you, he's kind of the one that you could tell he feels sick to his stomach about that. Like, that's not sitting well with him. And easily, Ray Fisher has one of the best speeches in both Rebel Moons, really, in both part 1 and 2. And I just loved that quote where she's like, okay, you know, he stares down Gunner because he knows, because he sold the surplus harvest to them, the mother world's after them and is going to wipe them out. And he stares Gunner down in the eyes. I think he's reading him as a man, you know, and I just, Ray Fisher did such a great job at that. And once again, no dialogue needed. You know what's going on in his mind. And he makes that decision where it's like, okay, if we're going to stand up for a rebellion, then we need to prove we are a rebellion. And I just love how he's like, we run the way we always have. These people are free men, free women. You know, who is here going to stand for what we believe in rather than hide behind it? Damn, that's a good quote. Oh, It gets me pumped just thinking about it. And I love how at first no one kind of answers the call. You know, it takes a moment. It takes that one person who shows up, and Millis, who says, like, I got your back, I'm there with you. And then everyone starts standing up, you know, and he has his team together. But it just, Corey, in terms of, we've heard in so many of these, whenever there's a rebellion, when it's the small guys versus the army, when it's the David and Goliath story, there's always a grand speech that happens in these movies. How do you feel like Ray Fisher's holds up as Darian Bloodaxe?
Dude, Ray Fisher did a fantastic job as the Bloodaxe, and yeah, man, I thought the speech was fantastic. It kind of reminded me of like when I think of like rebel speeches, I think of like Red Dawn, for example. Like, we're not going to sell it to you, you know, it's too ugly for that, you know, like you know, but when you're fighting in your own backyard, when you're fighting for your family, it hurts a little less, it makes a little more sense, you know, like that. You know, it was that style of, you know, speech, fire, motivating, you know, words that got you to stand up for the cause, right? So, yes, I thought he did a fantastic job. And, the amount that we got him for.
He's one of the most heartbreaking ones, right? Like because from that moment on, you're like, oh hell yeah, now we got the big dog with us. We got General Titus. We got a formidable force here. That you actually start to believe like there's might be hope. Yeah, we might be able to take out the mother world with all these guys because we got some damn good people on this team. And when we are traveling back to this kind of the station planet where Kai says, hey, like I'm willing to help you guys, and he's like, but I have some scores to settle first, to get some people off my back. Very scoundrel. I really loved it. Once again, his character was just like so charismatic. You wanted every reason to like him. And then that's where the big heel turn happens. Kai is actually the one that's setting them up. He's been putting them all together for the big score. He is an opportunist, except for they were the opportunity, not the rebellion, And he's there with he's set up an ambush for the mother world to take these guys out and all together, how to take out the rebellion with one stone, right? And Corey, I've now seen part 1 11 times. I watched it again last night for this show, and just the way Charlie Hunnam plays that character Kai, especially at the end, I find it so intriguing because Cora is asking him why are you doing this? And he's basically telling her like the mother world did the same thing to my planet, completely wiped it out. They tortured us, destroyed us. He's like, and from that moment on, I realized you never be on the wrong side of history, and you guys are the part that doesn't enter the history books. Great line as well, right? But when she, when he reveals that to her, he does, the kissing, and you see like a tear coming from him. And every time I see that scene, I'm like, why? What is going through his mind? Like, it to me, just as like someone who like really appreciates performances, that one stumps me every time because part of me wants to say, because I liked his character so much, that he's upset with himself, but he's also one of the most ruthless characters in that movie.
Well, I think he told you everything that you needed to know. Like it happened to him, so I'm sure he had a family. I'm sure he had loved ones, and the mother world comes in and they destroy it, and they took everything from him, and he's been down enough times where I think he realizes now that it's just easier to join them. So he's going to. I think, I don't know if he's a scoundrel. I think maybe he's more of a survivalist, and he's just going to go with the best odds and what he thinks is the path to survival. He went with the mother world, but in some ways, it'd be kind of tough to go against the mother world. You have a bunch of farmers. Or versus this, the king's gay. So who's going to who are you going to side with? I would have a hard time siding with some farmers as well. Like, oh yeah, those guys are torched.
I mean, all things considered, right? When you look at the situation, like I don't know if anyone would bet on the farmers of winning this battle, but like to me, it was just such an interesting choice in a performance to kind of have the tear there, and it makes me wonder. I would love to hear Charlie Hunnam talk about that particular scene and why he went about it the way he did, because you could tell there's a little something there, right? He's a little heartbroken by this decision as well, but the moment that he's able to flip it so quickly with Atticus Noble there, and he has Gunner, he's just like, I loved that scene where Noble's going to each person. They're locked up by that awesome contraption, torture, execution device thing. And he's kind of giving us a rundown. It was a great way for Zack to kind of give us some background of who these people are without having to spend too much time on it. And the fact that you learn about Darien Bloodaxe, you learn about Nemesis, how she has assassinated 16 of his officers, and like clearly a force to be reckoned with. And then you get the General Titus and how he's this very well respected general. And I loved the scene where Noble sees with Gunner. He's just like, out of all he's like, I pride myself on not being surprised. I'm prepared for everything. He's like, but you stumped me. So what is it about? And once again, it doesn't take much, right? And he's just like, oh, love. So he's like, so I'm going to make the example out of you now. And very much as if you read the book, very much in a Noble fashion, he makes you kill the thing you love. Because if he makes you kill the thing you love, that he can do whatever he wants with you at that time. He can reconfigure you in his own image for the benefit of the mother world. And when Kai's the one that's like, hey, I know you love her, just do yourself a favor. If you want to live right now, kill love, destroy your love. And Gunner makes that decision. In a way, Gunner, we talked about it earlier when we first started part 1, right? He's not so much weak or cowardly. It's just like he just doesn't know what to do, right? He doesn't have the strength. There is no courage in him. He's a man who has never really had to deal with these intense situations, but it's kind of the moment where he's faced with this with Korra that kind of wakes him up as well. That says he has to be a man.
Yeah, well, like what you're getting to, I think maybe Gunner saw a lot of his traits and resembled Kai in a lot of ways. Like he gave up people, his own community to Noble. So so in some ways, Gunner saw himself through Kai. Wouldn't you say, Trey?
I think it maybe yes. I also see maybe in a little way that Gunner saw Kai as someone that he would hope to be, like kind of, oh, he's the cool guy. Because you kind of got the idea that Gunner's a bit shy, right? Like he goes to Korra in the beginning of the movie and says, Den is looking for you. At that moment, he's in love with her. That when the first time you see him looking at her, you could tell he's in awe of her. He's madly in love with her. And yet he doesn't have the strength or courage to go up to her and say, like, I love you, like, be with me, not him. Because that's all it really would have taken between them. But Den's the one
but I'm like also talking about like how Gunner acted in the very beginning of the movie. Now we're coming towards the end of it. I think there's some resemblance. Both
men kind of saw their world end in a way, especially when he was the cause of death of Sidri. That's a good point. But he makes a decision to save her life and to put them back into the game. And we get this crazy ending fight sequence. A lot of heartbreaks, man. When Darien goes down, oh, that hurt. That one hurt especially. That was a character gone way too soon, in my opinion. At least we got the comics where we're the House of Bloodaxe that is going a little more in depth with our characters. But I gotta be honest. I wish they didn't get rid of him too soon. That one hurt a lot. But we get a great fight sequence between Noble and Korra, and Korra is able to win the day on that fight. And they believe they killed Noble, but as we see, is they believe this is the birth of the rebellion. This is the first huge blow they've made to the mother world and against the King's gaze. And there might be some hope for them yet. We know that Noble is still alive, and he's probably going to come back even stronger and really make an example out of him. But we do get to meet King Belarius in this cold realm. I loved how they did that. I thought that was just like such an interesting, like technological, like scene of how they put him in that world and how they communicated. Belarius seems like a bad dude, man. Corey, the first time we saw Belarius was a flashback scene with Korra when she was a little girl, and she talks about how she became the adopted daughter of Belarius. What did you think of that scene?
Just insane. I knew he was going to be somebody that I'd be interested in. I want to know more about. So, just a really cool character. I think it's the biggest thing that it was insane, right? Like, what more can you say to that?
To me, I'm still. It kind of reminded me of, it has that same level of intensity that the great scene in The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger's Joker and Aaron Eckhart's Two-Face, where the Joker puts the gun in Two-Face's hands and he says, you know, it's just like, hey, if you know the thing about chaos, it's fair, you know. And he pulls the hammer back and he's like, go ahead, blow my head. Now in that scene, we know that the Joker never really gave him an option. He held the hammer. You know, he was always controlling the situation, but it's a great scene, right? This place, Belarius, the dude pulls the trigger back for the little girl, and he's hoping she pulls the trigger. You know, he like egging it on a little bit, and he's not holding the hammer back. So to me, this dude is downright nuts. He's insane. You know, he loves playing with death, and I completely agree with you in terms of another introduction to who's this kind of the big overarching bad of this entire universe. Yeah, I'm intrigued by him. The dude is I want them to explain that scene a little bit. Like, what was he going for? Did he know that her gun was out? You know, like I would love for him to hopefully when they see each other again, because you know what's coming, the Cora and Belarius, you know, moment between them will happen in this universe, and I hope he brings up that first interaction they had and what was going through his mind, why he adopted her, why he even gave her the opportunity to kill him to see what his reason was. But I agree, great scene to be like, this dude is a bad MF. You know, but that's where it leads us. You know, we get to our heroes get back to Velt, and you start to get a sense that Cora is starting to feel like she is defending her home, that this place is her place to be, rather than before she felt like she had to leave it because she was unworthy of it. So a great first part that I felt like what was a solid start to what could be something truly awesome. Corey, we talked about, I felt like with our kind of our summary of the first part and what we liked about it, we kind of focus on the positives, right? Were there any major negatives to you in part one?
Yeah.
What was that?
Wasn't the director's cut from the beginning. It felt a little rushed for some of the big character development portions that I would have liked to gone into, that we know that Snyder is capable of doing for us. And I, you know, this is just me nitpicking. I wish it was the rated R version, you know, it was set PG-13. So when you're building a whole new world, a whole new story, you know, like we need time to get to know people. In my opinion, I like to get to know people a little bit more. So it left me with a lot of questions, but it got me excited and inspired for this universe. So it did its job. But yeah, I felt maybe a little rushed.
Guys, in the chat right now, go ahead and put your score down, you know, 0 to 10, 10 being the best. Your thoughts on Rebel Moon Part 1 while Corey and I discuss this a little bit. I would agree with that, Corey. I felt like... Oh, whoops.
You put your score in?
No, I actually had that for something else. Oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I was writing it in our private chat to be like, cool, that's where I'm going to hold that too. So yeah, I feel like it was rushed a little bit. I think I said this to you earlier. It felt Snyder light, you know, yes. Like I got some Velt Ale light and I wanted the hardcore high alcohol Velt Ale. And while I feel like he did a wonderful job introducing a lot of crazy cool characters for us, I think there was if you're looking at it as like, this is my only movie, right? This is the only thing I can watch and kind of review and look at it as a film. I would say, to me, it's not his best film. Because it does feel rushed, because there is a lot, I think, who said it? Oracle. There is a lot of ground to cover with it. And I feel like it was good, but I could tell there was a lot missing. Like, you almost know when, like, you've seen a director's style of movies so much, and you're kind of like, oh, I know that doesn't quite feel like Snyder. Like that doesn't quite. He would have gone harder here, you know, or like we would have got more out of this. I could feel it there. I mean, maybe it's because I knew there was a director's cut that I don't think I was looking for it, but there was just moments where I could feel, this doesn't feel quite finished, or this feels like someone was holding back a little bit. I didn't feel like there was major rough cuts, you know, like in terms of just like editing and like the film throughout. I felt like pacing was fairly solid. To me, it was just like, if we didn't know anything else about these characters, I'd be like, damn it, we didn't get enough of them. Now, part two, I think it was very smart marketing wise on them to call it part one. So that way we knew there was something else out there. But yeah, it wasn't, I almost wonder if it would have been smarter to have released the R-rated cut and not even bother with the PG-13, because it wasn't as strong as I think the director's cut will be. I mean, to me, it's like one of those things. If you know you're going to get the director's cut, is anyone ever going to bother with the theatrical cut again?
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's my thing too, is like, how do you rate something, Trey, that you know that there's a better version out there?
Great question. I don't think you do. You know, we'll have to see. Like you said, most of the time, I only ask for, you know, I only watch the director's cut. Like, you know, so I've never been like, oh yeah, the theatrical cut's better. You know, easily. I can't think of one film where I think that. Yeah, I mean, that's like what would you prefer watching? The Lord of the Rings theatrical cut, Fellowship of the Ring theatrical cut, or the extended cut? I'm going to say extended cut every single time. There's not one single film I've ever said that the director's cut was not better. You know, hell, even that Godfather cut where they kind of combined all three movies in a chronological, was better than just watching the movie separately. You know?
Absolutely.
What would you score part one?
So I rated this as my third favorite film last year. And the biggest reason that I rated it that highly, or scored it that highly, was because it was new content and it was a new, you know, it was a new movie. I would have to say I'm probably going to be like an 8-7. It's kind of where I'm at, Trey.
Wow. And I mean, that's still a solid score, though.
I
always feel like anything about
it kept me entertained and everything like that. So, I think it would have been, you know, in the high nines if it, you know, if I got a little bit more, you know.
Yeah. Huh. I'm quite impressed with that, Corey.
I know it fell out of your top 5, so I'm assuming you're probably in the 7 somewhere.
I've debated it a long time, and as bad as it sounds, it was in the 8s for me. It was in the 8s until I started reading the book. The moment I read the book and started to get an idea of where the R-rated cut could go, I immediately was like, I don't know if it was worth releasing a PG-13 cut, you know? Because if you thought the intro of Noble in the movie was good, the book ups it and is even far superior.
Dang.
Superior. I know the books are oftentimes considered what's the word? Soft canon. But I think if we're lucky, they'll give us what happens in the book live, in live action, you know. I'm gonna score it 7.9. It was definitely on the borders of 8s, but because I know some of those things that and some of the backstory, like I watched part 1 now and I have a little bit more love for it because I'm like, oh, I know what's happening. Like I know what's going on through their mind because I read the book. But at the same time, it's like, why would you take that away from me? You know, like I know it, but if I was a person who was just watching the movie, I didn't take the time to read the books, to read the comics. What's my experience like? And I was like, you know, it's a solid movie. That's the best way I can put it. It's great because it's new IP, but to me, it's like I'm already waiting for the R-rated cut, and I'll probably never come back to the PG-13. You know, and you may have lost people who are watching the PG-13 because they were like, "Ah, this is not really for me." When it was the you know, the dumbed down version. I'm not calling it dumb, but like the one for the general audiences. You know, when I think people want to, I think Zack Snyder has a style and that people want to see his version. You know, not so much this friendly cut of it. And it wasn't exactly friendly. Like it's violent in places. But like you could tell, you could feel it. You could feel that there's a couple of scenes here that feel a little rushed. Like we didn't get through all the storytelling that was there, you know. And it leaves a lot to be desired while it's still freaking awesome. So yeah, 7.9 is my score for part 1.
Right.
What is the rest of the peeps saying?
Integrity 101 gave it a 7. 8.8 from Trevor H. 8.9 from Oracle's Clock Tower. 8.6 from Red Hooded Outlaw, 8.5 from Beyond the Night, 9.1926894 from Batman's Thoughts, a 9 from Neo 7, a 7.9 from The Butler, an 8.6 from The Batman Who Laughs, 8.7 from Joker's Wild, 8.5 from Carrie Kelly, 8.9 from 9 Lives in Hell here. Neo 7's gave part 1 an 8, 9.2 from King Donkey Kong, an 8 from Kaiju Crazy Craig Rowland, an 8.7 from Wayne Enterprises, 9.2 from Red Robin, an 8.8 from Bat Fanatic, a 9.3 from hashtag Restore the Snyderverse Guy, and a 7.5 from Atomic Kaiju 1954, and an 8.3 from Dean Classified Monarch Eyes only. So we're really kind of hanging out in that 8th area for sure. I think the highest was like a 9.3, and then the lowest was like a 7.
So no one called it a masterpiece level, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair. And hey, if you do think it's a 9.5, then awesome. I think
it was a fun movie. It was a fun movie.
Great start, right? Like you did your job. You got me hooked. I'm into this universe. I've always said anything above a 7.5 is fantastic. Right? You hope anything's above a 7.5. It means it's a solid film worth checking out. And I see the potential and where Zack is going with it, and I'm down. I'm there for it. And if there's anything we know about Zack, right? The more and more you watch it, the more you tend to like it because you start to see all the minor details to it, which is why part 2, in my opinion, Corey, part 2 feels like a vastly different movie. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I don't know what it is. Maybe because it's just a war movie, you know. And if there's one area where Zack really excels is war movies, battle scenes. I mean, the fact that the whole war sequence at the middle to end of the movie is basically 45 minutes. It's an insane, brilliantly shot war film, and I love that Zach is able to do such a great job with. I feel like it's kind of a weird thing, but like, you know how like people always they watch a movie and they always kind of catch like the stupid logic that happens where it's like seriously, like what if you just did this, you know? Like when he brings up General Titus is like, hey, we're gonna stack all the harvest around the buildings so they can't destroy your village, you know? It kind of like I feel like Zach thought that through. Where like, oh, people are kind of being like, well, why didn't they just blow up the village and have say screw those people? Zach kind of added those little details that are like, oh, well, that starts to make sense. Like he's really laying it down and kind of idiot proof, I guess you could say, logic proof. Like not making anything go unnoticed. And I loved the difference with the music that Junkie XL did with Tom Hokenborg. The kind of this folk song kind of thing going on that they have. For the first time, music is very important to me when it comes to a movie because I think it helps explain the language and the tone and the universe of the movie when you create that musical language for it. And I didn't get that so much with part one. But part two, I started to really see what Tom Hokenborg was going with, and I was like, I'm digging this. I'm loving it. And we get all these great scenes with the harvest. I love the harvest scene, Corey. Like, to me, that was like some of the best cinema that Zach gave us in Rebel Moon. And I think it's just the connection, the love for the land, right? The peace, the comfort they have in that. Like, what was your thoughts? I hear you're like ready to talk about this.
So we're fully into doing our review now of Rebel Moon, the Scargiver now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So
the Scargiver.
Yep. So now we're into the Scargiver portion of this review. So, man, when they were all organizing the I guess they kind of came back first and they're trying to, like, oh yeah, we're all good. Noble's dead. And then all of a sudden, they're like, oh no, we're going to need to start getting some grain together. So it's cool really seeing Titus kind of take the lead there. He kind of led the village to get this work done, which was really, inspiring and everything like that. So he went from this gladiator to like the, like we're gonna farm this, we're gonna make this work.
You start to see why he is the legendary general that we heard about in part one. We never got to see him really in action, and here we are seeing him be the battle tactician, and he's brilliant.
Excuse me. Yes, absolutely he is. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I just loved the game plan they had. Really they thought out the different waves of how the Mother World was going to attack him. He knows their protocols. He knows how they're going to do things, and using everyone's strengths to their advantage. I love that. He's like, we're going to get this harvest done in 3 days, and we're gonna train you guys and get you prepared for this battle. And it just really, they kind of left no stone unturned. Like, they did a great job for a movie that literally is just kind of prepare for the battle. That, I mean, it's really like two pieces: prepare for the battle. And the amount of like little quick details that they are able to fill in with that time of a 2-hour film, I think really the pacing was good. It was really incredible of how they were able to explain things to get everyone on to make it believable in a way, I guess you could say, of how farmers, because once again, not to, compare Star Wars with Rebel Moon, but I remember my father-in-law, who grew up when those movies were coming out. I remember he said he felt betrayed when Return of the Jedi came out, because the Ewoks fighting the Empire, like, it wasn't believable, right? It's just it was a cute David and Goliath story, and the little cubs won. And to me, I love. We did the Return of the Jedi watch party, Corey, and we were like, we still love this movie. It's nostalgic to us, but I didn't understand what it would feel like going from Empire Strikes Back to something like that, and being like, whoa, like seriously, like that makes no sense. You made the Empire look like a freaking joke. And what Zach was able to do was keep the Mother World badass, keep them a terrifying, brutal, tyrant, and yet make it believable that these farmers were able to put up a fight worthy to take down the Kingsgays. And I think that's a very tough thing to do. Just with how the audience works. We're not stupid, and I think that's what I love about Zack Snyder. He knows the audience is not stupid, so he challenges them, he pushes them to be better, I guess, to be a better audience. And we start to see the biggest thing that kind of hits my mind about this movie is, to me, part one was putting the team together, right? And kind of the baggage. Part two is about redemption for everybody. We start to see General Titus. He's drinking water instead of, being a drunk all the time, but he doesn't want people to know he cares, but he's really starting to own and to fight for these people and to go against the Mother World. We see Nemesis, who lost her children, who feels the guilt and the weight of, failing as, protective mother, to she's starting to care again. She's starting to feel, she's not being so soldier, just a Ronin. She's starting to care and have something to fight for again, other than revenge. And Cora's starting to fight for something, even though she kind of backtracked. I think it's her guilt, right? And Corey and I will debate that in a moment here. But we really just start to see the layers peel back about these characters that we really just had like a front value of, like, here they are, and you're going to see more of them in part two. To part two, really peeling them back and being like, this is why they are the way they are. Corey, seeing the kind of the origin stories of our characters, of what set them in motion, kind of their Last Supper meal that they had, where General Titus says, we need to learn to trust each other. I'm going to tell you my deepest, darkest secret. You tell me yours. What was your thoughts about that Last Supper scene?
I liked it, man. It was a good way for them to know, really know who you're fighting with. And in a lot of ways, when you get to know that person next to you, you're able to find their strengths and weaknesses. And when you're not honest with the group, then you're going to cause a lot of issues for the group. And I thought it was a great scene, but a certain person definitely annoyed me in that scene.
Well, I think she still feels the weight of it, Corey, clearly. Like, she's trying to, as much as she is clearly one of her own enemy in a way, right? Like, she's her greatest weakness because she doesn't believe in herself. She believes that she has some some unsettled business that she needs to make it right with what happened between her and the royal family, which we can talk about that. Corey, do you want to just go into that right now? We can debate this a little bit.
It's up to you.
Well, I'll say this real quick about the Last Supper scene. I really loved the origin stories. Ones that really hit in my mind were Nemesis, and I really liked Milas, her, when she sees Darian Bloodaxe, so you kind of get the sense of why she looked up to him, what he meant to her, and so I appreciated that a lot. But when it comes to Cora, right? Cora, she tells Gunnar, we see that, like, Gunnar is able to really, she trusts Gunnar through and through, and it's because she loves him, right? She's found that reason. We kind of learned in part one, right, that in the Academy of the Imperium, they encourage you to have a lover because it would be something that you would fight for. And once again, kind of a mirrored reflection. It's kind of happening all over again, but for the planet of Velt. And she's opening up to him in a way that she's not doing with the others, because she trusts him in that way and knows he'll accept her for it and understands the truth, Corey. But I know you don't agree with this. You think the moment we see the assassination of the royal family on this ship called the Peacekeeper that fails miserably.
Right.
First off, I loved this scene. The way this scene is shot.
Awesome.
Oh my God. While I'll be honest with you, one of the things that really bugged me, even though it was super dope, was having the little orchestra inside the room.
Right.
I dug it. I thought it was cool, but here was my biggest issue with it. To me, like when you do these like crazy sci-fi films, I think you can have fun with it. I think you can have fun with the props and the dress up. And they clearly did. There's a lot of props in there that like, it feels otherworldly, you know, like out of this galaxy. But when I see just a violin and cello, full on violin and cello, it kind of takes me out of the moment. I kind of go like, maybe because I'm a musician and I see that, but like to me, it felt like it was the cheap way to go about it. Like I wanted them to dress it up a little bit and make it, I mean, it can sound like a violin and cello. I don't care about that. But the fact that it was like a full-on violin and cello, it took me out of the moment to go like, okay, well, does Earth exist in this universe? And does have they been to Earth?
It's possible, you know, like if Army of the Dead is potentially connected, then yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It
So
didn't
you
take me
think
out.
it didn't take you out?
No.
Okay, well, it took me out a little bit just because I was like, oh man, I would have had some fun with that.
You could have, absolutely. Kind of some different instruments, sure. But
yeah, well, to me, it just seemed like a missed
that
opportunity to like make something like make it feel like we're in this Rebel Moon universe. You know, there was a couple of other scenes that did that where it's like, well, that's clearly just like something we would see in everyday life that they're just using. And I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. I was just like, I wish you guys, I don't know if like budget ran out and you're just like, just throw it in there. You know, to me, it's like, I wish they would have spent the money to be crazy.
Why are they eating grain, Trey?
Well, I mean, grain can be a simple, you know, natural product.
That took me out of it though when they started harvesting grain.
Fair point, Corey. I see where you're going with it. I'll take your statement. I still think I would have liked to have seen something crazy.
Oh, you know what? When they had those flat caps on, that took me out of it.
When they had the what?
The flat cap hats on, like the hat you're wearing. Oh, that took me out of it.
At least there were some details though. Like, well, I get that. Like, how they were like in full on like Russian military gear. Like to me, it was kind of there were some like details in the costume that made it a little out of worldly. But so the costumes didn't bug me so much. To me, other than there's like a few times when it's like a full on top hat, you know, like from the 1930s or something like that, where it's like, well, that's interesting. That's a intriguing choice of just costume designing. But I don't know. Nonetheless, a really cool scene with the assassination of the royal family. I just loved how the music kind of played into it. It kind of felt like those old films where they would have those live orchestras playing on set with the actors.
I felt like the Titanic. We were going down with the ship.
Yeah, that's a great point to put it. What did you think about Cora's betrayal with the princess?
What was Cora's job? Like, what was she there for?
To assassinate the princess.
No. What was her job there for, Trey?
To assassinate the princess.
Trey. Before that, what was she doing?
Whatever her adoptive father told her to do.
Sounds like she was supposed to protect, huh?
But it is mentioned that General Belaris, her adoptive father, purposefully put her in that position for obvious reasons to gain the trust of the royal family. She was always going to be
the Batman who laughs. Protect the princess. She was the official bodyguard of Princess Isa. Did she fulfill her duty?
As the official bodyguard, clearly not. Or maybe she did. Maybe the princess wasn't actually there. Who knows?
No, she failed miserably. And this is where immediately I was like, ooh, I'm not really a fan of you anymore.
So I understand. So explain why you're not so much a fan. I know for you, it's kind of like don't kill children kind of thing. Like once that's to you, that is an unredeeming quality.
Yes, absolutely. That's an unredeeming quality. Very unredeeming quality. Doesn't matter that she was manipulated. It was definitely her fault. She had the job to protect the princess. She was the official bodyguard of the princess, and she failed.
But Corey,
it was her fault.
At the same time, you could tell General Belaris has, like, Batman is absolutely right. Like, it's not even so much manipulation, it's programming. We've talked about that, right? Especially in the military, how the programming happens and imagine that times 10, right? Because the Mother World clearly they break you down to your worst form until there's nothing left of you and recreate you in their image, in their programming of the brutality, to where everyone accepts the brutality and the fierceness and the aggression, to basically you're mindless zombies. You're just a good soldier following orders. They're Order 66 all the way through, Corey, even though they don't want to do it.
She had a chip in her?
No, but you could say she did, because once again, she was reprogrammed by her father. She says they tortured me, they broke me down until there was nothing left, until I was what they wanted me to be. It's kind of true, because her initial instinct says, I'm going to kill my adoptive father because he just betrayed me. He's saying I'm the one that assassinated the royal family. He's putting all the blame on me to protect himself. She puts the gun, and you could tell she can't do it. She's programmed not to do it.
Interesting. But she was programmed to also protect the princess, right?
No, not really. She was programmed to do what her father told her to do, and her father told her that you are going to be stationed to protect the princess.
Yeah.
Until she even said
had a really good relationship with the princess.
Doesn't matter though when your adoptive when the person that raised you, who has programmed you to essentially be your master, your puppeteer,
it does
controls you and says, tonight's the night you're going to kill for my rule, for my prosperity. You're going to do what I ask you to do.
It's a hard sale for me, Trey. Hard sale.
How so though? Because I think even like what Batman says, she says she was not programmed to protect the princess. She was programmed to follow orders. And her order from her commanding officer, who was General Belaris, her father, her adoptive father, told her that when the time comes, she would have to end the princess.
Then why did she run?
Because at that time the mission was done, and her father betrayed her.
Her father said, "Oh yeah, Caesar. She should have listened to him then."
Well, I think at that moment, the surrealization and the guilt of what the situation was.
Programming doesn't matter. Now,
but see, here's what I think flawed her, though, Corey. The moment the princess says, I forgive you, I think that was the switch that she started to come undone. The programming started to come undone. It doesn't just happen like that.
That was the switch?
Yeah, I think so. She kind of says it is. The fact that she says, I forgive you, she says is what weighs on her and when she's in bed with Gunner.
It's a completely different story, Batman. I don't agree with Anakin at that point. My point always with Anakin has always been that the Jedi failed him. I don't agree with how he leaves, but I have always said Obi-Wan gave up. That's why I coined that phrase. I started that. It's like, that's been my saying from the beginning. I don't agree with how he went about killing the kid. So that's completely separate. I think the difference is that it is a kid, and in some ways the kids are untouchable. So I just I don't buy into the fact that like, oh, she can kill him now, and then when her main job is about protecting, she's been
That's not her main
trained.
job.
It was for a long time. How long was she protecting?
That wasn't her main job, though. Her main job was to follow the orders of her commanding officer.
How long was she doing it?
I think I don't know, does she ever say the time of how long she's been doing it?
Seemed like a long time.
I don't know if it was that long, maybe a year. But nonetheless, though, who put her there, Corey? She was ordered by her father, her adopted father, to hold that position. Until he gave her a new order. I think you have to take out your morals out of it. You have to take out your morals out of it, though, Corey. I know, like, we all agree, killing children is wrong, but in this case, can you blame her? Yes, she's the one that pulled the trigger, right? Clearly, that's why she blames herself for it and why she believes she's unworthy of redemption. But at the same time, if you're going to look at the root of her problem, it starts with the mother world, with her commanding officer, her general, Belarus, her father, who manipulated, programmed her that when he ordered her to do something, she would follow through, because she believed, or at least was programmed to believe, that his decision was final.
I don't know if they necessarily boasted that position well enough then.
Sure. Okay. Now that's interesting. So it's possible that the PG-13 shortened version of this movie didn't adequately lay that out.
Yeah. Because how much screen time did we actually get with Belarus? Not much.
Not a ton, and I will agree. I wish we had more time with him, but maybe we're saving it.
We saw glimpses of it, so I'm not sold on the fact that she has this, unwavering loyalty to Belarus.
But she does,
because you're saying it, and she said it, but we don't see it.
How so? Yeah. We saw her do everything he's told her to do
till the end.
She even says it. She says whatever.
If she's programmed, she should still be with him.
But it's now the betrayal that unlocks that. It's her. It's his betrayal and guilt, because she says in the movie, "I believed he would protect me. I believed that he was going to make sure nothing happened to me." And the moment he broke her, his promise to her, she was able to see through his bullshit, and become undone. What's that?
Maybe he had a plan that he would spare her life. And get.
Does it matter though? You
She clearly didn't trust him.
He didn't kill the king. He did. He stabbed the king, and she's getting blamed for it. She's the scapegoat.
Yeah. And maybe he would have put her off aside, given her immunity somewhere off into doing her own thing outside in another world. She didn't trust him enough. That's what I'm saying. You're either all in or you're not.
I mean, she was all in.
Was she though?
She was all in, because everything he said he was going to do for her was true up until that moment that he betrayed her.
But we didn't see that enough to make that big of a connection. I don't think you get it. He wasn't there enough to be like, oh yeah, she's definitely on his side.
So the simple fact that we didn't see him in a father figure, authoritative role is what hurts that story.
I think so. I think it absolutely does. Because I didn't get the vibes that she was completely loyal to him.
I think to me it was almost fear that she wanted to.
And plus, it's your stepdad.
What's that?
Plus, it's her adopted father.
Yeah, remember?
Yeah, man. That's what I'm saying, man.
Well, I mean,
don't see it.
I don't know. I feel like we're going in circles
Not
and you're
what
not
now?
quite catching on. But
I
like,
see what you're trying to say. I just don't see it being applicable enough. You know, maybe in the director's cut, we'll see more of their relationship and such like that. But it was breezed over so quick in that portion.
okay.
I don't really see that side of it.
Interesting. Okay, well, we're obviously we're gonna have to agree to disagree, which happens in these debates with Super Bro Corey and I, as you could totally see, which is fine because it's possible that people may have felt that way too in the general audience. Is that like there's just no redeeming her? She killed the prophet princess. And I won't lie, I'm a little conflicted on her redemption as well. Like, I know she's trying to do right. And I'll talk about why I'm conflicted of her redemption arc. But I think that's the point. I think Zack wanted a gray character, a character that this hero is clearly, she's tarnished a bit. You know, she's layers, right? She's not your cut and dry, like cookie cutter. Here's your hero. You know, everything about her is heroic. And no, not everything's about her is heroic. She's finally doing the right thing and trying to earn redemption and earn the forgiveness that the princess gave her.
Is she though?
Is she though?
Because here's the next thing. Because then she completely messes up the plan. The battle, she messes up the plan. She goes rogue once again. She doesn't follow. She doesn't follow orders. She doesn't follow what she's supposed to do. Well, so I think that was another frustrating point for me for her as well. She's like, oh, she knows how this is going to end with Motherworld. She heard from literally Kai that Kai said that they're going to wipe this whole freaking place off the face of the world. And she is going against the plans that they all put together. That was another weak portion of her. She was very wishy-washy in that part.
See, and I can understand that point of view because I felt the same way. I was just like, oh, like I don't think we're making the right decision here, Cora. But I think the reason of that is there is that moment of weakness. She had hope. And I think seeing Noble and seeing his resolve, his strength, and how he, you know, is like, I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to do here. That she let it get to her. I think it was the one moment we see her slip that she isn't a shining hero because she's like, if I can just save these people by sacrificing myself, because once again, throughout this entire movie, she doesn't believe that she is good, that she doesn't deserve, you know, forgiveness. She deserves to be punished.
But now we're getting into two different trains of thought. She either believes that she has to run from the mother world, or she's because the mother world's going to wipe everything out, or she believes that she can save the mother world, save this village because she's going to sacrifice herself to the mother world. She knows that's not the case. She knows how the mother world acts. She saw them kill the entire king's family.
True. I think the problem is
consistency. It's consistency. It's not there with that.
I think there was a moment of like what Butler said, the moment of weakness that got the best of her because it, you know, she doesn't want anyone to die for her, and when Noble makes that clear, like they're going to die for you because I'm just here for you. I mean, clearly, you and I know the brutality of Noble, that Noble most likely would not have let those people live. But I think he was able to put the pressure on, and the moment was on her to, you know, stand up to him. And with the fact that he was like, if you come with me, I will spare them. You know, just that moment of hope that she knows they're going to die. She knows people are going to die no matter what. If they go into this fight, not everyone's going to come out of this. And she doesn't want to see a single person die. More importantly, she doesn't want to see Gunnar die because she's in love with him now. And in that moment of weakness, I don't think she got him killed.
She delayed the plan.
It wouldn't have mattered delaying the plan. It was still a dangerous situation. She just believed that if there was a 1% chance, Corey, there was a 1% chance she could save them by sacrificing herself. she would take it.
Hmm.
It might not seem like the most heroic thing to do, but she believed in that moment that if there was a
Oh, the
possibility,
mother
she could
world's telling
spare
the
them
truth
all.
now. The mother world's not telling the truth.
I get where you're coming at. I get it.
It definitely did, Batman.
I disagree with that. Gunner,
because the bombs and everything would have been blown up. Noble probably would have died on the ground versus up.
no, because he clearly survived. There was nothing. He didn't move away when they blew it up.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't
But-
move away.
I know, but they could have still got him if things weren't delayed the way they were.
I mean, sure, she probably could have maybe made a sacrifice play then and took him
Yeah.
out, but then she
If
would
you
have
wanna
been
do something
dead.
worthwhile.
Jesus. I don't know. I think you're a little hard on Cora for the simple fact that she did two things that didn't sit well with you, but I think
Two things.
two things, yeah. She killed the princess, which I feel like I've explained well enough to understand she's programmed. Two, the second time when she had that moment of weakness.
Here's the third thing now, right? The gunship, the King's Gaze is tearing everything up, right? It's tearing everything up.
Yeah,
when she,
the one person who gave the
talk about when she gets there now. Now she's up in there. She plants the bombs. If she was already willing to self-sacrifice, then she should have just blown it right then and there and like immediately taken out everything.
She knew Gunner was not going to leave without her, though.
Hey, she was already willing to give up her life. So it's
But
like
she's
that
not willing to give up
backwards.
Gunner's or someone else's.
Hmm.
And see, I think that's the thing is to her, the needs of the many or the few or the one, like to her, she wasn't willing to give up one. And I think that's the thing. That's the thing you disagree with her about.
Yeah, maybe that's But
You
in
know.
some ways, she is willing to give up the one in certain cases when she's brainwashed and programmed.
Well, I mean, like Batan says, she was willing to sacrifice herself, not others. And she, in that moment, believed that if she just sacrificed herself, gave herself up, that would achieve everything he wanted, and she could spare every single person because they were there fighting for her because she was the one that set it in motion, right? She was the one that put in Cedric's head, like, don't offer anything, don't even tell them about our reserves, don't make a partnership with them. Who knows what would have happened if they did make a partnership? What's that?
Is she the one that started the battle?
I mean, how?
technically, you
because
would say
she's the one
Gunner
that
was.
wipes out the platoon. If she never wiped out the platoon and they had their way with Sam, I mean, wouldn't it have been great? But who knows what would have? We don't know what would have happened at that moment.
Mhm. It clearly meant to me that she like if she was honest, and I think this is the part that frustrates me. If she was honest with Titus and everybody in the group, then we could have worked through these problems.
How so?
Because we would have been able to talk that shit out.
What would have the truth have done, though?
What would the truth have done? They would have been able to talk about, like, hey, and reconfirm to her that the Mother World's the bad guys, and like we really got to stick.
I mean, Gunner was already telling that. Gunner was already telling her that she's not the bad guy here.
Yeah, but I think it would have been
You
better.
think she would have listened to other people and not her lovers?
I think it would have been better knowing that, like, as far as like the other people that she recruited to help fight this, that this, more confirmation that it's not her fault and that, we're going to have to all stick together in order to defeat the Mother World.
But in a way of not trusting them completely shows that she doesn't trust herself completely in terms of if she believes she's beyond redemption, that she wouldn't expect the others to confirm that for her.
Mm-hmm. And if she was honest, maybe we would have gotten closer to that. Because what does she do? She goes rogue once again.
Possibly. I mean, I don't know. It's a lot of hypotheticals. And I think this is one of the fun parts, right? And I think this is what makes her character so fascinating is that we can have this debate. We can be like, oh, to me, she's not the hero. or she is the hero, because in a way, she, through all this adversity, through all these struggles, through all this programming, she's still finding herself and finding finding the purpose to redeem, like to get on the path of redemption. Maybe she's not all there, but
also, what was Titus's backstory? What was Titus's backstory?
He was the general that sacrificed himself, and they didn't. Actually, that's a great point. People in the chat, let us know what you think about that. I mean, it could have been General Titus's story that made. I mean, Corey, you threw in a good. I don't know if I can argue that, because clearly General Titus had the same situation, and they didn't spare his crew.
Yes, and that's my kind of final one to hit home with my argument with her is she shouldn't have been the general. It should have been Titus all along, because Titus knew this, and you said Ares. Maybe Ares should have been the one that really was the definitive character, because Titus warned everybody, like, hey, I gave myself up, and what did the mother world do? I self-sacrificed myself. What happened to all my men as I was watching them?
Yeah,
the same damn thing would have happened. She would have given herself up.
Yeah,
she would have been on the freaking King's Gates, and she would have watched. Boom, boom.
Here's the one thing, Corey. I think I think I figured out how I'll argue this back. And you can take it or not, but here's what I think happened. While she was starting to become the soldier again, right? Oh God, I'm totally spacing the name that her adoptive father gave her. Archelaus? Is that it? Archelaus? I can't recall. Korra. Anyways, but I think Korra, the reason why she has that moment of weakness is for so long she put up the walls, right? She put up the walls to protect herself, to not have a care, so that she could. Archelaus, thank you, Marcus, much appreciated. Archelaus, she puts up the walls, right, to not care about them. But when she comes back at the end of part 1, she kind of says, "This is a good place to die." She's starting to believe this is her home, that these are her people, and I think in that moment, she loves them, and it's that weakness in her love, right, that she doesn't want to lose any of them. So if she can, even regardless of what Titus said, right, that would back up your story of why it was a stupid move.
Sure. Let's put in the chat. Does anybody here in the chat, would anybody here in the chat trust Noble? Would you trust Noble, Trey?
It's difficult to say, because I'm not in that situation. I don't have the gun to my head saying, like, hey, if you just sacrifice yourself, your wife will live, and your brothers and your family, I'll let them go. In my brain, like, I'm willing to give myself. Yeah, I'm easily willing. Now, do I trust Noble? I don't know, but like in that situation, it would be like
our team Motherworld, right?
Looking at the Persian army and Leonidas being there, and instead of 300 Spartans behind him, he has the Thespians, the farmers and boy lovers, and his family right behind him, and saying, like, if you come with me right now, Leonidas, and sacrifice yourself, I will let them go. Does Leonidas listen to?
Hell no, he doesn't do that.
I don't know.
Hell no, he doesn't do that.
I mean, but it looks like a losing situation.
I think maybe that's the tough part of it all, is we've seen a character like King Leonidas, go down with his men, fight to the end. So it's frustrating when somebody's so willing to give up on the plan. So knowing what they're going to do and how they've treated other people in this case, and that's why it doesn't matter, Batman, if Noble has made it clear that Korra is more valuable than Titus. It doesn't matter, because the same traits are going to happen. Noble is going to absolutely destroy all of them. He's already been blowing up the grain and such like that. He's wiping them off now.
Well, he wasn't doing that before, right? Like they set up a good plan. They weren't going to blow him up. It's not until he gets pissed off that he's like, blow him up, because they needed the grain. Even General Titus says that, like, he didn't realize how important the grain was, and that's why he makes it the essential part of their plan.
Quickly pivoted and said, "Oh, we'll just go straight back." So the grain's not that valuable to us.
Well, I mean, I think in a way they kind of addressed that a little bit too, where his priestess and doctors were kind of like, we don't know if you're mentally stable to be the commander of the King's Gaze. And
what happened? And what happened?
I mean, he killed him,
Yeah, exactly. And with the help of his commanding officers. So clearly they thought he was in good enough.
They thought he was mentally stable enough. I mean, it's a fun debate, and I like it. So anyone in the replay crew who's listening to Corey and I, and also people in our chat, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments about this, and just love to read them. I mean, keep it friendly. Corey brought up some great points that I can't really argue with it, but I think I brought up good points as well.
Let me hit this. Let me hit this final point with Korra. Darian Bloodaxe. Look how inspiring he was. Of going into
the
battle.
Sacrifice play, though, right?
He did make that sacrifice play, but he did it fighting. He was fighting it all the way through. It was him sacrifice as he was fighting. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to give myself up. Darian.
So how many people did the Blood Axes allow that to the Blood Axes sacrifice a ton of people to keep the fight going?
Yeah. But because they know what the Mother World's going to do. So it's hard seeing that, like you have somebody like Darian Bloodaxe and the Bloodaxe family be like that, like strong of a fighter. And Korra is technically a strong soldier as well, and then just completely loses it, throughout the battles numerous times.
Interesting.
That's the frustrating part.
I get that. It's very, very fascinating, Corey. Let's see here. Batman coming in hot with a $5 super chat. Another one saying, are you able to bring it up, Corey?
Nope.
Let's bring it up. My biggest argument against Corey, he leaves his Christmas decorations up all year. There, end of debate. Corey is wrong about Korra. Corey, Batman thinks you're mentally unstable like Noble because you keep your Christmas decorations up. How do you feel about that?
In regards to the Christmas decorations, I say...
So shut up, bitch!
Batman, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Sorry for Corey's profanity. He does like
But when it comes to a true leader and warrior, you are wrong about Korra back then. This one's really for you.
Spartans! What is your profession?
See, old friend, I brought more soldiers than you did.
True war leader.
Well, I mean, it's a very small village as well, right? It's intimate. She knows every single person. Yeah, thank you so much, brother. She knows every single person. It's a little more intimate. Every death is going to hit a little closer to home for her. So I don't fault her. While I do, here's the thing. I agree with you. It was the wrong decision because you and I know just how brutal and how monstrous Noble is. I get the sense she didn't really know much about him. She knows of the Mother World, which that's not a good enough defense, but nonetheless, to me, she made the wrong call, which means she's not perfect, and I don't expect her to be perfect. She's not. I think too much we expect our heroes to be perfect, and as Zack has proven, well, I mean, I think Superman, right? Like a lot of people expect him to be the shining example of truth, justice, and the American way. And what we've seen Zack do with a lot of these superhero characters that in a lot of ways in the comics, a lot of them have been perceived as the shining example of what it means to be the perfect good person. But what Zack was able to really do is show ourselves in those people. And to know that the truth is, in that real moment, would all of us make the perfect decision? Would we have not given in to the fear that we don't want to lose a single person, because every single life is that important to us? And Cora makes the call, and while it was a bad call, she should have just gone through the plan. Is it not human of her to make the decision that she did?
I maybe for a brief second contemplate it, but no, she shouldn't have, done that, because she's heard Titus's story, and and Batman may not have seen this movie, but Cora was definitely recruiting a bunch of people, as a leader, trying to get the the rebels all together to defend this village. So
interesting. Well, I mean, damn, Corey,
if you're gonna be a leader, you better act like a leader.
That's fair. That was a good 30 minutes spent on just that debate. But yeah, people in the replay crew, let us know your thoughts. Who's right, Super Bro or me? I'm curious to hear you guys' thoughts. Obviously, be respectful about it, but I'd love to hear your guys' perception. Is Cora redeemable, or did she make the bad call? I'm curious to hear you guys' take. It's definitely interesting. So Corey, the battle,
all the battle plan. So she's a horrible soldier then too.
You know what I love though? Like we talked about the battle plans and how General Titus came up with a really great plan. But you know what? Noble came up with a really great plan too, to Trojan horse them a bit, bring them out. They know they're going to negotiate, they're going to discuss, try to see if they can not do this battle. And he already sends his best squadron with our boy Richard Citrone, who I think his name is like Bar. It's like starts with a B. Oh gosh, let's see if I can find it. Richard Citrone.
Oh, Richard Citrone's character.
Yeah, lead cryptid. And first off, Richard looked so dope with that beard. I know we said it before, but like the beard's a good look for him, man. Love that dude. But Richard, sorry, I'm gonna call him Richard now because I know it's Richard. His character sending that army to go after the women and children, the vulnerable, right? The innocent ones. Was a brilliant play on Noble's part, because he knew they're not soldiers. In the heat of battle, what are they going to do? Are they going to break down in the fear of the moment after they see the innocents completely be held accountable for their actions, and punished for it? It was a great war plan. So I love that Zack, once again, he did not like. I feel like a lot of directors, like Batman said earlier, some directors don't take the time to explain that, and the bad guys just do the stupid thing, like honestly, like the Empire in Return of the Jedi. They didn't make the power play. They're careless anyways, but yet they're acting like a bunch of morons against the Ewoks, right? Zack shows that Noble shows up. He's putting the tactician on them too. And he's going with the savagery of his plan that, honestly, it looks like it could work if the fact that Gunner didn't kind of put the monkey wrench in it by starting it all up and getting everyone ready to go. He's the heart of the rebellion, right? And the whole fight sequence with Nemesis, everyone had their moment to shine in the battle, and I loved that so freaking much of what Zack did. Corey, what was your thoughts overall of just the battle, the choreography, the cinematography of that? What was your thoughts?
Dude, Noble was planning on killing them all. That's for sure, man. He was brutal. He was savage. He was a great tactician in the battle. He it's interesting. He was sending, his guys and troops, well before to their locations, well before while he was still talking to Korra. So he knew exactly what he was doing, and he damn well near succeeded the mission. So, yeah, man, it was a brutal and intense fight from Noble. Yeah, it was really a close call because man, so many of our characters died. It was really tough to see. Nemesis go down.
Nemesis, yeah.
Yeah, and she was hardcore to the end. She was protecting those kids, and look what happened. Noble send people in to get the kids, the women, and target the women and children as well. So he
sent the best, right? He sent his best guys into, and Nemesis was able to throw down with just her, really. And I think it was smart of Zack, just the few intimate moments that he had with Nemesis, peeling back her layers, starting to make her vulnerable with that kid, giving her that healing that she needed, to give her a really nice story arc that, comes to a close in this movie, which is heartbreaking.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing too. If Noble was, targeting the women and the children, even before he went down there to have the conversation with Korra, it makes a whole lot of sense for her to self-sacrifice herself.
I mean,
he was targeting the kids as well.
What's that?
He was targeting the kids and women as well.
Yeah, I mean, hey, what better way to shut down the fight before it even really begins? I mean, that would have, honestly, if Nemesis wasn't there, that probably would have been the end of it.
Oh, for sure.
The farmers easily would have laid down their arms. No
way. You think after the farmers' kids and wives are killed, they would lay down their?
No. I don't think he was going to kill them. He's going to hold them hostage, and then once they, like it's basically surrounding all of your king's pieces, in chess, and then like what are you gonna do? Like, we got you. Like, anywhere you move, you're gonna die. So, like, I mean, I think at that moment, every parent lays down their arms and just hopes that there would be mercy in some way. I don't think any of those farmers continue the battle, if their kids are surrounded.
So then we have another Titus event.
Oh, Corey's continuing bringing it back on me, punk. Hey, it's a fair point, all in all, and I can understand why we're not going to go back into it. Corey, I understand why Corey did what she did. It wasn't the right call, but I understand it. From Corey's perspective, Noble might have called those soldiers back. Maybe, yeah. It's that glimmer of hope, right? Like, if there's a 1% chance, maybe it'll happen. Maybe it's worth taking.
Noble would back down. Man, that's wild for Batman to even think.
Who knows?
Who knows? Man, the man was dead some hours ago. He almost died. You're damn right. He's going to wipe everybody out now.
Make an example out of all of them. I mean, it is an incredible battle scene, though. I agree with who said it earlier. One of Zack's best fight scenes of all time. It's where he succeeds, right? Oh yeah, I wish there was a video game of that. It felt like a video game, like it's just a badass battle game, And I, once again, like, you see everyone's kind of moment where Noble has kind of the savagery moment when he jumps down in the hole, and he has just this incredible scene of just ripping them apart, just truly his savagery and his brutality. And then you see Dan being the hunter, and him making he knows that he's probably not going to make it, but he's going to go for, cut the head of the snake. That's what the hunter does, right? He goes for the alpha. Two alphas going up against each other, and Noble wins that battle, but it was a hard loss to see Den go out. But it just, all the fight scenes that we're getting, I love even that moment of hope that they give you when they defeated the first wave and they're cheering, and all of a sudden you hear the and the tanks coming up, and you can feel their defeat in them, but it's at this moment they're in it. They got to keep fighting.
All that firepower there, like QRFing, they had some quick response forces for we're just going to leave these people alone if you surrender.
Oh my god.
QRF's real quick.
Oh gosh, I'm not gonna get it with you. But I love that the chorus plan to kind of dress up as a damaged ship from the fight and in kind of the injured gear. I think once again that was a brilliant play in itself, and the whole scene on the ship was cool. I think, and what we kind of talked about in part one, Corey, where we saw Cora's first fight scene kind of be a little ruggish, right? Like she's getting back into it, and then to that moment when she goes up the elevator and she's bursting through those guys, you get Cora in peak moment, like going through those guys. And I just think it was wonderfully well done cinematography of the in-ship battle scene with Cora and Noble, and even when Gunner with the sword. It was just like that. I don't know. Zack just does such a great job with all that fight sequence that one's truly going to be memorable, and I can't wait to see what the R-rated cut does with that action sequence particularly. But I will say this: for as cool as the Cora fight scene was with Noble and the elevator scene, I think one fight sequence is keen in this movie. I'm gonna say it's Jimmy.
Yeah,
that was dope.
Yeah,
it was like I don't even know how to describe it. It was like Superman showing up in Zack Snyder's Justice League kind of thing.
Right. Absolutely. I love how he looks, the lights on his face and how like they're all red, like
brown with the like elk horns, like.
Yeah, dude. He was, studying and just overwatching, and then when it was time to step up, he clearly was the fighter that they all needed.
Oh, totally. I mean, he was, and I loved that it kind of felt like he had made a decision. Throughout the kind of the movie with Jimmy in it, he doesn't play a major role in it, and I hope he does in the director's cut, because obviously I find him one of the most interesting characters. But he kind of says like, "You're going to lose this battle," and maybe that's why Cora kind of freaks out. Is like Jimmy, who is calculating everything, and tells her like, "You're not going to win this one, so you better find the other play." So you could say, Corey, well, there you go. That's another piece of the argument. Jimmy put doubt in your mind. As much as I love
Jimmy's
Jimmy.
a robot.
Jimmy's a robot, but Jimmy, I mean, he's a highly calculated. He was a royal guard. Like, he would know war. And the fact that he tells her that, like, you're not going to win. Sorry. Everything you're doing, not going to work. So Noble presents a solution for her.
Then she knows everybody's dead.
I know, but once again, there's 1% chance. She already, according to Jimmy's calculations, they're going to lose anyways.
Yeah,
and
losing it means they're all dead.
I don't know.
There's no survivors.
Jimmy just had one of the coolest fight sequences in that entire film, and just Zack, once again, the flowing of the cape, just damn, man. Like, he makes that shit go so freaking hard, and yet totally a cheer-worthy moment. Batman Who Laughs. Like, Corey, was there a better fight scene? Like, to you, was that the peak fight scene, or was there one that really speaks to you of like, that was dope?
I don't know, man. Like, so that fight scene was really dope. Terex and Titus's battle was all really intense. Like I would say Nemesis fight scene was pretty awesome. Was equally awesome as Jimmy, I would say, for the most part. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, Nemesis was up there for sure. Nemesis was, yeah, I mean, that one really rips you apart, and you're just rooting for her all the way. And when she, gets the deed done, it's just like, oh, and even that intimacy, that little intimate moment between her and the boy, where you could kind of feel that, like we talked about, right? The movie is about redemption, and she has her redemption. She finally protected her children. Titus finally stands up and fights the mother world and wins. Tarek gets the same. He gets the same redemption just through finally taking on them, and the Blood Axes. When she comes in and saves the day too. It's everyone kind of gets their own bit of redemption, even with Gunnar finding his courage and his strength to be the fire in a way, right? He's the heart, like Zach and Sam gave her that banner. He truly was the heart of this movie, and that's why it's heartbreaking what happens to his character. I teared up. I don't know about you, Corey. I teared up when Gunnar was down for the count. It almost kind of reminded me of, and this is why I say a little bit like Lord of the Rings, because he had all this like good folk music and just the scenery. But when she's like, "Oh, they're here, the Blood Axes, the rebellion's here," it kind of reminded me of like the Eagles are coming. The Eagles,
Where were they the entire time?
Corey, it's plot, man. That they're just like the Eagles. You can't ride the Eagles all the way to Mordor. It's too easy at that point.
I'm just saying some of the battle strategic plans were kind of shoddy on the rebel side. Like, also, why would you have Cora being the one that greets the grain people to give the grain to them descending down? She's the most wanted person out there. We should probably have had that old guy in the back.
Well, I mean, he didn't. What you're talking about? All the way from part one?
No. What's his face? Was it Hagen? There was the other old guy in the back who was like back there. You know what I'm talking about. There was another old guy in Rebel Moon too. What was his name?
I'm not. Yeah.
He had a decent beard as well too.
Oh wait, are you talking about the father, the farmer father of the townspeople?
Yes.
That was the first movie.
No, I'm talking about the second one. Who's the old guy in the second one?
I have no idea what you're talking about now.
You see, then you need to watch again because
I feel like we're not talking about the same dude though.
No, we're not talking about the same dude. Can't think of his name.
Simeon?
He was the old farmer guy who was helping them get the grain and everything like that.
I think you're talking about. Hold on a second.
I'm not talking about part one. I'm gonna come down there and punch you if you say part one again.
No, I know who you're talking about. You're talking about the dude who took in Cora.
Yeah. What was his name?
Oh God, it's not coming to me.
Yes, that guy. That guy should have been the one out, talking to them and everything like that. The rebels who were about to, initiate the plan should have been hidden. You're looking for it, aren't you?
I am, because now you have me. Hagen. I guess it is Hagen.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
Okay. So wait, what did you say? Why him handing out the? I don't know where you're going with this.
I said Hagen should have been out front, not Cora.
To deliver the harvest to Noble, he knows she's there.
To greet Noble. Noble suspected that she was there.
He knew. I mean, Noble knew she was there. He said it. There was no speculation. Yes. He said she's there.
Yes, but how much better would it have been if you hid Cora and all the rebels and they were the surprise attack?
He knew. I mean, they set up the harvest around the building. They knew technically they were there.
But did Cora know? Cora wasn't sure that Noble was alive.
You sometimes come up with the weirdest complaints or criticisms that I'm like,
the battle plan didn't make much sense to me from Korra's point of view. That was probably my biggest issue with part 2.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll get back to it. I know where you're going with that. But where were we even at now? You went on such a tangent with that I was like,
yep.
I don't even like what?
Yeah. We were talking about Jimmy. Prior.
Oh yeah, there's just how that was one of the best fight sequences. Nonetheless, yeah, heartbreaking when Gunner dies and the Eagles are coming, kind of thing with the rebellion. But it's nice to see that the rebellion comes in to defeat the rest of them, and they're able to take down the pride and joy of the Mother World with the Keen's gaze of the Dreadnought. And save the day, with all things considering, the town's alive and their buildings are mostly okay. And they still have their harvest food. So, the ending, I would say, Corey, for me, we lose Gunner, right? It's a heartbreak. The battle sequence is amazing. Noble is supposedly headless. But
that was dope.
The thing that was interesting to me, and honestly, it's a bit of a complaint for me, because I felt like it was rushed. I felt like it was a last minute, oh, hey, by the way, to kind of be like, hey, there's a plan for a third movie, was when she finally reveals to him that she's Arthaleus, and, General Tice is like, I already knew. And just so you know, the princess is still alive. It was kind of like truth bomb. Like, to me, it was that moment that was the most confusing part of the movie. Because I was hoping my theory was correct about Sam. To me, it made the most sense because they were clearly like pointing in that direction. Like, it's her. Even the book kind of like gives you like hints. It could be her, but like clearly in the movie, they don't really like specify that's her. I'll drop my theory though, because like I know that's clearly not what it is. But to have like General Titus like, I know the princess is alive, you didn't kill her. And that to be kind of like her final redemption is that she didn't actually kill Issa. Is the simple fact that if General Titus knew the princess was alive, yes, he lost his men because he made a bad call, right? And he doesn't believe he's worth redemption. You would think for someone who hates the Mother World so much, and this person is in a way, the last hope of the Mother World and everyone and all the citizens of the galaxy, that he would have gone searching for her and made it his mission to protect her if he knew about it. So for me, for that to be like a quick, like, hey, I already knew who you were, I just wanted you to say it. Also, the princess is still alive. It felt like a quick, like, boom, there you go. You're ready to go. I don't know. To me, that just felt not earned in a way. Like it should have been a bigger reveal, or like it should have taken time. Like it should have been. It shouldn't have just been like a final sentence. Boom, there it is. She's still alive. What's your thoughts on that, Corey? How'd you feel about that ending?
I have similar thoughts because you ready for the final bomb? Because if Titus knew that then, he would have known that back then when they were talking about, all their backstories and the past, that I bet you if Titus knew that, Korra's struggling with killing, the princess, hey, if I tell her that she's alive because they shared and they confessed it earlier, then Titus, exactly, Neo 7's Titus would have told her then. So, ultimately, if Korra was honest with the group, we would have gotten that back at the bar, while they're drinking and talking about then, which then would have made Korra even more for the cause. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there was some tactical errors, and the majority of it was Korra. That's the final bomb on Korra. Big time.
I still disagree on the final bomb on Korra. I don't feel like that was your best point, but to me, it just felt.
Would Korra been more involved in the battle and for the fighting of it to know that she has to save them to get to the princess again? If she knew.
Then again, would she have just to get the princess? I don't know. Once again, we're speaking hypotheticals.
She would have left the farmers. Okay, so now we're really
I don't know
the character of Korra.
Jesus, Corey. Those are hypotheticals, and I don't want to go too deep into that. But I agree with the Butler. To me, it just felt rushed. Like it just wasn't It just felt like they just threw it in there to be like, hey, there is a plan for another movie. How would Korra possibly have been able to predict if it would have turned out that way? Yeah, exactly that. But nonetheless, I felt, and I said this during our watch party, if you were with us during that I felt the second movie was clearly a far better film than the first one. To me, the pacing was better, the story was better, or at least how it was handled, cinematically, dialogue. I felt like it was just
sure.
Yeah.
Sure, you could say that. I think the best way to say it is exactly what Zach said on Twitter just recently, which was watch them back to back. That's how it should have been from the get go. I don't see part one, part two. I see them as a whole. Now I want the extended cut for sure because we love Snyder and we love all those other extended cuts out there in the world from other directors. So. I kind of wish we got part one and part two back in December all together. And then we, the ZSJL long time, we're here for the long movies. I get that the general audience isn't down for that long of a cut, but if we had part one, part two, like relatively close together, that would have been, I would have loved that.
What's interesting is like everyone at my office knows me as like I'm the Snyder fan, that I just show up for Snyder, and the rest are kind of, they just watch movies because that's what we do. It's our movies is our business. And I got the sense that a lot of people, and I heard even people say that like they would go up to me like, so what's the deal with Rebel Moon? And they're like, I hear a director's cut's coming out. It's like, yeah, it's going to be like an hour extra. And they're like, oh, I'm just going to wait for that. There was quite a few people at my office who even said that. And I consider them general audience people because they don't know all the in-depth things that happen, behind the scenes in the studio. What's they don't follow Zack Snyder. They just hear, oh, director's cut coming. So I heard a few people say like, yeah, we're just going to wait for that. So to me, it's kind of like, as a business person, I do kind of question Netflix's decision to do it this way. I'm not sure what the purpose of it was. Like, to me, it's like, if the director's cut is probably going to be the better movie, I would prefer a quality over quantity, or like the hope that the general audience, like PG-13 teenagers, will watch it,
But then again, Netflix has us figured out as well because they know we're going to watch it, be members in December, and we're going to wait for our membership all the way up until August to get more Zack Snyder. So I honestly, maybe they're just trying to, milk it in some ways,
Yeah, I agree. I think they are trying to milk it, which I'm okay with. But at the same time, like, they did it that way to get more engagement. They wanted to milk it. See, you guys agree. Yeah, to me, like, just personally, I don't know if I would have made the same decision. I think I would have just been like, Zach, give us the R-rated cut.
Well, because we want the extended cut right now. That we're kind of being,
But to me, it's just like, just give me the movie you want. Like, let's not play this game of like, here's this lessened down version of the movie I actually want. Like, to me, it doesn't make sense. I don't want to play that game. They did it anyways. And I don't mind it because I still really enjoyed it. But once again, most likely when the director's cut comes out in August, I will never bother with the theatrical cut again. And the audience, like, we don't even have, like, most audience people say, like, I don't want to watch a 4-hour movie. I feel like people really say that when it comes to sitting in a movie theater where you have to get up, leave, go to a bathroom, come back, and you've missed 10 minutes of the movie. The wonderful thing about Netflix is people can just pause, get up, get popcorn, drink, go to the bathroom, come back, play. So to me, it's like, put out the better quality content than the lesser version.
I don't know if long movies necessarily matter anymore if you're, especially when you're on a streaming service, like I hear people all the time doing Lord of the Rings extended cuts all day, watch party.
People will go to the better cut. They don't care. They don't care if, like you said, Corey, with Lord of the Rings, people don't watch the theatrical cuts. Now you get people who are like, seriously, you watch like, for the few people that still watch the theatrical cuts, people scratch their heads and go, why? The extended cut is better. People, King Kong, they watch the extended cut of the 2005 one with Peter Jackson. People tend to choose the extended cut when it's the better version of the movie. So if Netflix truly believed that the director's cut was better, I get it. They want to milk it. They want to just more hours. Who gives a shit? Like, to them, it's just, it's more content. But I think there should be a little bit of a fear that in case if, like, it didn't quite grab some of the general audience, people who aren't Snyder haters, who are just watching the movie to watch it, I think it's fair to say, I don't think it's the best version of the movie. And there's a director's cut coming out that will be the best version. So people may have, like, kind of sat on it and been like, I'm not going to watch it yet. And you could see the R-rated cut, like, skyrocket in streaming. Now it's already doing insanely well for streaming. So clearly Zach's not having a problem, but it'll be interesting to see what the director's cut does, if it's bigger than both part one and part two. But Corey,
just give me all of Zach at once, like, just give me all of it,
Yeah. So guys, while Corey comes up with his score, let us know what you would rate part 2, the Scargiver, into the chat right now. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts on it. Corey, what would you score?
I'm gonna let you go first this time.
You're gonna let me go? Well, as I said earlier, I think it's a far better film than the first one. To me, it felt more like Zack Snyder. It he really just excels at war movies, fight scenes. Like, that's just his jam. He knows how to make the weight of the moment really hit. He was able to, in my opinion, capture a lot of nice intimate moments with different characters. And there's a ton of characters that he has to focus on, right? And it's very tough to do with an ensemble cast, an ensemble team. And what I've seen him do with Zack Snyder's Justice League, with this movie, is even Sucker Punch and Watchmen, where you have all these huge characters in this movie, and he's able to give each their moment to shine. And I think part 2, if anything, was just a kick-ass film, and I know the R-rated director's cut is just going to be phenomenal. Like, just how good this one is, I'm certain that the director's cut could be a masterpiece on our hands, or at least pretty damn close. So for me, it's easily an 8.8.
Okay, that's a good score. Yeah, I think so. I like this one a whole lot more. Even though there were some, tactical decisions that annoyed me, it was a lot of fun to watch. The battle scenes were fantastic. It was fast paced the entire time. It kept me at the edge of the seat for the entire 2 hours or so. So, I had a lot of. I enjoyed this. It was just your action movie. Things are blowing up. Things are going crazy. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it was fun seeing both sides kind of plan their attack and everything like that. So with part 2, I'm going to rate it this, but I see kind of part 1 and part 2 combined more than anything. So if I was to rate part 2 alone, I would rate it a 9.1, and then with my 2 scores combined, it's basically a 9. So 8.99. So the Rebel Moon series together is a 9 out of 10 for me. I loved that we're getting new lore, new stories, new space action, different world stories again. And this was a fun one, and it definitely gets me excited for the extended cut that I'm really looking forward to see, because I hope he's going to give us some more character development and everything like that, which is what I'm wanting more of to make it a masterpiece of a movie in my eyes. So we're almost there. The baseline's good, but I'm definitely looking forward to the August and the director's cut.
Yeah, I agree. So I would say for the most part, probably if we put both of our scores together, we're in the mid 8s together. Yeah, I would imagine mid to low 8s, which it's a monster score, And I know Batman is like, seriously, dude, you wouldn't put that in your top 5. There was just a lot of great films.
You said 8.8 this last one?
I said 8.8 for me.
And then what was your first one?
7.9. So almost a whole point difference for me on that.
That gives us an 8.6 combined score.
Oh, okay. See?
8.65.
It's solid. You can't go wrong with it. I mean, to me, the critics always hate Zack. So, and first off, whoever listens to the critics, I feel sorry for you, because it is a rare thing when the critics ever agree with the audience score.
Trey.
What's that, Corey?
But Rotten Tomatoes says.
Rotten Tomatoes says it doesn't matter what Rotten Tomatoes says. But I think a damn good start. As I tweeted out when part 2 came out, and I watched it the first time with my wife on our anniversary, I want more. So if there's plans for part 3, part 4, give it to me. If there's plans for a video game, I want it. If there's plans for more comics, more spin-offs, give it to me. I'm sold.
He definitely has us fucking interested in this world. Like I have the book downloaded, and now I'm going to start listening to it. So I wanted to wait until we got both movies out of the way, and then I'm going to listen to this one now. I think part 2 comes out soon on Audible. I wanted to say it was later this. Is it later this month, or is it next week? It's coming soon. I know that.
I think it's in. I thought it was in June when it was coming out.
Was it June?
Book 2. I'm not certain though. I don't know, but Corey, first off, let's check out everyone's scores, and then you and I will give if we have any. If you have a quick prediction.
June 4th. You're right. June 4th.
June 4th. Okay. Whew. All right. I know something.
All right. So yeah, looking at scores, Wayne Enterprises gave it a 9.2, a 9.1 from Kaiju Crazy Craig Rowland. King Donkey Kong gave it an 8.9, a 9.3 from Trevor H, a 9.49238191 from Batman's Thoughts, a 9.4 from Oracle's Clock Tower, a 9.2 out of 10 from Red Hooded Outlaw, 9.1 from Beyond the Night, 8.5 from The Butler, 9.1 from The Batman Who Laughs, 9 from Neo 7s, 8.9 from Joker's Wild, 9 from Carrie Kelly, a 9.2 from 9 Lives in Hell here, 8.5 for both from Dean Classified, Monarch Eyes Only. Atomic Kaiju 1954, Akio Lee jumped up big time, 8.6 for him. 9.3 out of 10 for Red Robin. 9.4 from the Restore the Snyderverse guy. 9.2 is my score from Bat Fanatic, and that looks like looks like we are all down for Rebel Moon. And Bat Dan says, remember our late great friend Mikey Sun says Henry Cavill will be a Han Solo character in Rebel Moon Part 3.
That's cool. Still an interesting idea to me. I'm curious to see how that goes. Yeah, man. At Rebel Moon, don't believe what the hairs. Inform your own opinion.
Make your own opinion.
Yeah,
We had criticisms, but we still enjoyed it. We still enjoyed it a lot.
I mean, to me, like I said, it's a solid start to what looks to be a very promising franchise for Netflix.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to everything they pop out, I'm going to be looking at and watching and trying to, check out because I'm hooked. I'm in it. Star Wars has disappointed us. Dune 2 was cool, but I don't know where they're going to go after that with Dune 3 because I heard the next book in the franchise is not that great. So that sounds dead on arrival. Star Trek has been hit or miss, So, I mean, to me, this is a really cool space opera, journey that we're going on that I like. Give me more sci-fi. I love it. So, yeah, man, I'm excited. For whatever they have coming up in Rebel Moon Part 3. Corey, do you have any predictions of, or maybe hopes of what you see in Rebel Moon Part 3 if they greenlight it, which I'm sure they will?
Man, I'm going to say the same thing I said about about the first one. I want more Blood X. So let's see some more Devra. Let's see them kind of do a coordinate, a search to find the princess, or maybe they come to help out, help find or help get the princess. So Red Hood Outlaw says my prediction: Super Bro will love Korra in Rebel Moon Part 3. Hey, it's always possible, buddy. She just frustrated me in a few little things. She's still badass. I still totally dig her. Like the tactical things that I specifically said. Criticism, but she's still a cool character in my opinion.
I mean, she's a very complex and layered character. She like we said, Zack is not a fan of cookie cutter characters. Which what you see is what you get. He really dives in deep with them and he makes them flawed. And sometimes that's what makes them so inspiring, is that they are able to find redemption or whatever. They're able to take us on a journey and we can see ourselves as that person. And I do appreciate that as that it isn't just a cookie cutter. He's, this is the perfect hero we've ever seen. They saved the day. It gets boring after a while.
Yeah.
And Zack gives you something new and different every time.
And I'll come back to Neo 7s. And I think that's a very possibility. I think Corey will love Corey after the director cut of parts 1 and 2. Like I said, I need a little bit more, understanding of why she was so gung-ho with that ways and bringing, controlled and shit like that. So, I still think I won that one. But Neo Steven says, I think Cavill will be the Jimmy that's guarding Princess Isa, which would be super cool.
That's intriguing.
Cool.
Huh.
Oh, well, that's a cool idea.
I dig that a lot. That's intriguing. One thing I definitely do hope to see wherever they go with this in part 3, time to get a space battle.
I do want a space battle. Absolutely. I was hoping for it. When they showed up, the Blood Axes showed up with that, I was like, all right, here we go. But no, it wasn't grand. There was that one shot that Zack did where you see the moon Velt and the Keen's gaze slowly, and it was like one of the most perfect space shots in the world that I was like, please, yes, that's dope. Or it could be Jimmy Crowd right now. Iconic Star Wars shot, coming into it. You're waiting for that. Boom, 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 boom.
Oh, totally. And I think we're there. I think Zack can continue to kind of do like an insane battle. I mean, clearly
his ships are awesome, dude. His design for ships are fantastic, bro.
Yeah, I mean, Valerius just lost his right hand. His fiercest general. Or his commander, with Noble, and so I mean, to me, it seems like Valerius he's the big bad. He made Noble what he is. He made Korra what she was, and he's not going to take this news well. and I think he's going to come back, and he's going to show why he is the scariest man in the galaxy. So I think we're going to get the general side of him that is what made him legendary and made all the senators fear him. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting for sure. So I'm super excited wherever Zack Snyder goes with this. I heard he's going to do something else, like a quick little film before he gets to Rebel Moon Part 3 or whatever they call it. But I'm looking forward to the director's cut. Of course, we'll do a watch party and do our review, and we'll talk about what was better, the theatrical cut or the director's cut. I mean, you can kind of see which way we're leaning, but until we actually see it, I don't know. It could be the first time I'm ever like, nah, I prefer the theatrical cut. We'll see. We could. I don't know. You never know.
We'll definitely be talking more about Rebel Moon here. I'm pretty thrilled about it.
I think so. We might create our new series of our rebellion. I don't know what we'll call ourselves yet, but we'll figure something. The mother world. Corey wants to be the mother world, but we'll see. We'll definitely do some more videos as we read the books, read the comics, and kind of predict or theorize. Maybe a Rebel Moon theory kind of show. But nonetheless,
somebody does that. I want to talk to you backstage about Rebel Moon too.
Ooh. Or do you still want to debate? You're going to take this backstage and be like, hey, I'm not done with you yet.
Oh, no, I totally beat you. But if you want to go down the list of every tactical error that Korra and the Rebels made, we could go down that if you want, but I wasn't going to suggest that.
All right.
Oh, how about hashtag Treybellion?
Treybellion. I don't know. That's cute. That's adorable. 9 Lives. I appreciate it. I don't know how I like it, just because I don't like my name being in things, but Treybellion. That's funny.
That was fun, man.
Yeah,
that was a fun talk for sure. Fun discussion.
Absolutely. And see, that's part of the fun. And Corey and I don't always agree on things, but surprisingly, our scores.
I still rated it higher than you.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that. Yeah, as much as Corey had a problem, it didn't bug you enough.
Well, I mean, it definitely bugged me, but there's more characters than just her. Like, man, and watching Richard Citron do his thing, bro. That was fun too. No, the fight scenes, the battle scenes, and everything was so much fun. So it allowed me to kind of move aside from my nitpickingness. So like, while people may have thought like I've been, I hate this. No, it was just me nitpicking stuff. So
that's fair, and I feel like that's like people come in with already their. What you hear a lot of people already kind of coming in with how they're going to feel about it before even watching the movie. Some people who just don't like Snyder, they don't like what he does. We're immediately like, oh, it's trash. And it's like, did you even watch any of it, or did you watch for everything you hate?
Right.
My guess is a lot of those people didn't really pay attention, and they were already assumed that they hate it. A lot of us who, I'm sure a lot of our audience was kind of like, dude, like you are a Zack Snyder fan, of course you're gonna love it. And here I came in with a 7.9 for part 1, so I was honest about it. And that it wasn't my favorite Zack Snyder film ever, but to me it's still something I'm very, very interested in.
I don't consider them two separate things anymore. It's Rebel Moon,
kind of like Along with the Gods, when Kojay showed us that. Those together, those made like such an incredible movie, even though it was 2 separate parts.
And just like Snyder said, he says, watch them back to back. He said that. And that's how this is supposed to be watched.
He did. And I can't wait. I think our good friend Kojay is actually doing that. I think he's doing a watch party of back to back. And I'd be curious to see how that goes, because I haven't done that myself, where it's like boom, watch the first one, boom, then the second one right after. I bet you get a totally different experience than watching one and then months later watching part 2. Our good friend Batman says, I got my spoiler review of Rebel Moon Part 2 on Space-tastic Discussions. Hope to see you guys in the chat. You already know what to do. Batman, did that already come out, or is it coming up?
Because I can't wait to troll it, goddamn.
Jesus, be kind. But no, I think
I'm
it's
gonna jingle bells all the way into that chat.
I think Netflix is really onto something here, and they continue to be confident in Zack because he's showing up, and his fans are showing up, and people are showing up for Rebel Moon. And I think the important thing is, according to IMDb, Corey, $84 million. $84 million was the budget for part 2.
Wow,
that's insane. For as much action there was in CGI in that, $84 million, that was creator level, you know. So Netflix, Zack is keeping the budget down, and he's doing well with it, man. So keep up the good work, Zack. Can't wait to see what you do next. And we'll definitely talk about more Rebel Moon and maybe come up with some theories as we see more and more content come from this universe. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. You know, we got some cool streams coming up for you guys. Corey, can you pull up our little slide real quick? Of course, we still have our Ghostbusters Frozen Empire review coming up with Corey and I. Going to be discussing this movie and honestly talking about why the critics were freaking dead wrong. So many people were like, this movie is complete trash. And I was like, no way. Like the 2016 film, that was trash. This movie, far superior. And not only that, it shows that this franchise has legs that can continue it into this next generation. So we'll definitely talk about that. Our Godzilla Kong, the movie review, you know, we're going to do it. We're going to talk about all the Easter eggs we saw, all the exciting things as that movie continues to do like insanely well. It makes me so happy that the Godzilla fans are showing up. It's premiering in Japan this weekend. So Corey and I will probably do that video soon. Just to wait to see, because I'm hoping it becomes the new top dog in the Monsterverse. We'll see. It's pretty damn close. And then, of course, we have our Deadpool and Wolverine trailer reaction. If you have not checked it out, you need to. It's dope. We're always having some good times with that. And it's definitely one of our most highly anticipated films of this year. We'll see if Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman can deliver and give us a masterpiece here. So, Koj, thank you so much, brother. Always appreciate you showing up. But, guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. As always, Replay Crew, you know I definitely want to hear from you guys, your thoughts about Part 1 and Part 2 of Rebel Moon, A Child of Fire, and The Scargiver. Thank you, guys. This was a fun one. Corey and I always debate and get the book of Rebel Moon, Part 1 and Part 2. That the one comes out in June. And hope to see you guys on the next show. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. You know, you already know what to do. Smash that like, share this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. I'm your host, Trey, with Super Bro Corey. And don't forget to tune in weekly.
Same bat time.
Same bat channel. See you later, guys. Have a great night.
Have a good night, everybody. It was fun arguing with you tonight, Trey.
I'll do it again. Cora's innocent. Cora's innocent.
Yeah, I am innocent.
Cora is innocent.
Yeah. I don't think so. But all right, guys. Have a good night.